All right, guys, welcome to the Random Files. I'm your host, Josh Turner. This is TRF, the Random Files. And let's get going here. Let's bring on our co-host,
Hello.
Miss Choate. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Yeah. So tonight's episode, we're going to talk about data centers and AI, kind of a little bit of a continuation of what we did on the real Random Files on Rumble, which took place
Saturday.
last Saturday.
Yep.
Feels like it's been over. It feels like it's been a whole week. There's been a lot happened this week. It's just a lot going on. It just keeps happening. The world just keeps going. We keep spinning.
Yeah, I keep thinking it's Friday or Saturday
It
for some
does
reason.
feel like a Friday today.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I was doing quite a bit of research on the data center thing because I mean we all hear about it all the time, but to be honest, I hadn't looked super deeply into it, and when I did, it was pretty interesting and certainly disturbing. So,
Yeah.
hey, Richard.
Well,
Hi guys, how are you?
how's it going, Rich?
Excellent. Yourselves?
I was good, and your face popped up. I'm like, oh, God.
No doubt.
God.
No,
He's like, no doubt.
it's enough to scare anybody. Sorry, I'm trying to get my get to
No,
it.
you're good. You're good. You're a good guy. You're a good friend. We like you.
Appreciate it. Likewise.
You're an acquired taste. You have to be.
Yeah, that's for sure.
He's all right.
That's for sure.
Yeah. When I was a kid, that weird gray tube. We don't really know what it is. It's like the Oscar Mayer tube paste stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, it's I don't know what it is. When I was a kid, I avoided it like the plague. And then one day we went camping and it was forced upon me. And so I just dealt with it.
Right? Tube paste.
Yeah, I went like a day and a half without eating. And my grandpa's like, that's all we got. You're gonna eat it. And that's kind of how Richard is. He's just starved or whatever. I mean,
paste of tube or
like Eddie Murphy said, if you're in the desert and you're starving and somebody throws you a cracker, you're like, it's a good ass cracker. You know,
is that a Ritz?
That's
Is that a Ritz?
Was that a Ritz? I mean, that's kind of how Richard is. You just kind of get used to him. He's just there, and you're just like, oh well, what else? What are we gonna do?
I'm a Ritz cracker when you're starving, baby.
Oh, exactly.
Got a couple
plain
of
saltine when you're not.
Right
you would never grab that unless you got something to eat with it. But whatever. Sometimes you just have to do what you got to do. No, it's like a paste. I don't know. You want to look it up, Anthony? It's a Oscar Mayer tube meat.
I still have no idea what you're talking about, and I feel like
it is.
Yeah, I don't have much to go on. Oscar Mayer tube meat.
Tube meat. Just look at. I don't know. Maybe that's the code words we could find. I'm sure it's made out of delicious people or something. I don't know.
It's like spam.
It says liver sausage.
Liver sausage. Is that?
That's disgusting.
There's like a gray one and then a bologna colored one.
This one's the bologna colored one.
Let me see it.
Gray.
What does it look like? Yeah, that's something like it. Look at it. See it right there?
Gross.
There you go.
It's like spam. You know what the Canadians used to do in World War I is they would, when the Germans were all starving, they'd throw them over cans of spam, and then they'd be like, "Oh, throw more," and then they'd throw grenades with the cans of spam as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Worked every time apparently.
Wow.
Jeez.
Dirty bastards.
Yeah,
I think I'm like one of the only humans that's actually never tried spam. It just
I've
always
never eaten spam.
No.
Thank you, Brenda. Beyond the box.
I've never eaten it either.
Oh, okay, good. I guess I'm not alone.
That stuff scares me.
I thought it was one of those things like everybody had tried, but it's just such a mystery meat. I'm like,
I haven't eaten spam in probably 30 years. No, I think I had to eat it one time at work or something, if I remember correctly. I mean, it wasn't. But I mean, I'm not into all that weird organ meat stuff. You know, it doesn't.
There's this stuff that people eat up in the Northeast called scrapple.
Yeah,
it's so weird. It's just it's like trimmings and cheeks and noses and eyeballs ground up.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Yeah. When I would travel through Europe too, you'd like go to the buffets and stuff, and they always have the meat that's like flakes of meat in gelatin. I guess they're trying to like extend the meat spread on whatever you're putting it on, so it's just like little bits of meat in clear gelatin. It's very odd. It's the only place I've I've encountered that.
It's usually from like lower legs on animals that they don't. Yeah.
When
Where
I
they
was
get
in
that
Hong
from.
Kong,
They had it.
dude, I can't even tell you some of the markets there. They had a wet market and a dry market,
Mm-hmm.
and this is back in the late '90s. That was '99 or 2000. It was horrible. Every
Oh,
type of animal you could imagine, but it was like, and I remember going through there and covering my face. It smelled so bad in some of those places. I thought, this can't be sanitary. This cannot be healthy.
oh, dude.
You know,
I've been to Taiwan twice, and I went to the night market the second time I was there. I went to the night market a couple of times. I smelled things that I have never sensations I have never experienced before that I never care to experience again. They had like they called it stinky tofu, and they had like 100-year-old eggs, and they had
Come on.
they liked
no,
the
she's not
eggs
wrong.
that yeah, they had the eggs that had like the embryo of the chicken that was fully
Hmm.
developed
Red eggs,
inside.
they call them.
What?
My favorite was
Yeah,
they
they're called red
literally
eggs.
had like we would have corn dogs on a stick. They literally had fried rats on a stick with the tail wrapped
Hmm.
around the stick. Like just anything you can think of that we would
Everything
not
you
want
could
to
think
eat,
of.
they had. Yeah, it was very interesting for
My
sure.
buddy's a Russian guy, and he went to a real fancy wedding one time, and they served the duck egg embryo thing as like a real ritzy millionaire dish.
I think maybe I've talked to people about that, and I think maybe it's because some of the severe starvation that they've gone through, and they kind of like had to eat anything, and so maybe they developed a taste for some of this stuff. I don't
Well,
know.
here in Texas, if you go to the mercados, like the carnicerias, mercado carniceria, they have pretty weird. It's the cuts and things like that of the meat, of the pork and the beef. It's they'll and what really, me and Anthony were talking about this. What really gets me is the stuff they use for menudo. It's like
Oh,
it's expensive now.
mm-mm.
It's like,
Yeah.
dude, and like brisket here in Texas, it's like barbecue. A lot of people eat brisket. Brisket's made very well here, but it began here in Central Texas and then kind of spread out to different places. Most notably, like East and West and North Texas, that wasn't a thing.
Is
They always try to
Manuro what?
claim it.
Sorry.
Hold 1 second. Texas
Yeah.
barbecue. They always try to claim. Oh, it's Texas barbecue. No, it was Central Texas where I grew up because they didn't have that in West Texas when I was living out there as a kid. They had like this weird brisket that was like a roast or something, and they were like, "This is barbecue." The hell, it is. Not the one. That's not what I grew up with. But brisket was a cheap cut of meat that everybody just learned to prepare very well, and now it's like $30 a pound.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, what were you
Is
saying, Richard?
is Manuro what I think it is?
Manuro, menudo,
Manuro?
not Manuro.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Not spelled with an R.
Oh, okay.
No, it's menudo. It's freaking nasty, dude. And I'm not
Isn't
talking
that
about the boy band from Mexico City. I'm talking about this is a type of food. It's made with tripas, which is just basically stomach lining.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
great.
it.
Can't
Oh, just the
stand it, dude. It's
texture. Yes,
it
the
was so
texture, the way it
nasty.
looks. Blech.
And I've had people try to like slip it on me and trick me, and I'm like, nah, dude. And you got hominy floating in there. I already know what that is. I will
Yeah.
not eat that, dude. When I was a kid, my mom tried to make me. So for 2 days, I didn't eat. That was one of the only times I protested and didn't. Like my mom whooped my ass. She tried everything. I just sat there looking at it like hours.
Yeah,
My
I
sister
remember.
broke down and ate it, and I was like, "Well, good for you." But here's a person that wouldn't eat cream of wheat. She sat there for 2 days over cream of wheat, and I'm like, "I'll eat it." I ate it. But then menudo, and then she breaks down in a couple hours and eats it. I'm like, no, dude.
No.
Because
No.
once you get to a certain point, you don't need that. Because the
Yeah.
regular food is almost as cheap as that. You don't need it. Now we're getting to where everything's so expensive again that, yeah, you might need to start eating some stuff.
Yeah.
But it's expensive, dude. It's like you go there and they have that crap selling it for maybe a little less than. I'm not going to eat that. But I don't like pork. I don't like pork. I don't like
I
the
don't
smell of
either.
it. I don't really
Me
like
either.
it, dude. I don't like what's it called? El pastor. I don't like el pastor. A lot of people love pork. They like pulled pork. I'm just not into pork. I don't like the texture. And nowadays, I'm just going to go on a limb and say this. I wouldn't eat these ribs. Like you're talking about these baby back ribs and all that stuff. These ribs, they don't. I mean, I've seen pigs, and they don't. Some of these don't look like pigs. I'm not joking.
Because they're not.
Yeah,
It's
I'm telling
baby
you.
back.
It's long pig.
Yeah.
Baby back.
So
yeah,
my
long
friend's
pig,
dad was a
exactly.
doctor, and we were eating at this Chinese buffet in South Austin. It's not there anymore. And there were these little skinny, rounded looking ribs. And I was like, what is that? And the doctor, my friend's dad was a doctor, and he was like, don't eat that. Don't eat that. And he took a couple of them. And now this is what he told us. This was in probably the early 90s, like 92, 93, something like that. And he said he called the police because it was human. That's what he said.
Human meat is legal in 49 states, bro.
Yeah. This was in 90 no, what? You know what? This was in 91. This was in 1991. Yeah. Because I remember when I was working at that time, and me and my friend went to, it was me and my friend Scott and my friend Brian, and we all went to go eat, and his dad, Brian's dad, was a doctor. Well, his dad was like really old. Like two of my friends' dads were really old. Like they were old to be their grandparents. So that was weird. But his dad was already like in his 60s or something. And he was 66 years old, something like that. And Brian was like my age. He was just a kid. He was young. So his dad passed away like a few years later or whatever. But he claimed that place was selling human meat. It was a Chinese place. I'm not joking.
That's why we own the butcher shops, and that's why we own all the meat manufacturing.
The slaughterhouses.
The slaughterhouses, thank you. Yeah.
But you can, if the Chinese bring people over, pay your debts. You know, like you're an indentured servant. Then when they can't pay, what do they do?
You go in the soup.
Yeah.
I'll do you one better. Why are there no new cemeteries?
So By His Love says, no, it is not legal.
Look it up.
He's challenging you.
Human meat is legal in 49 states. Now, By His Love is one of my oldest friends on the entire internet thing. I've known her for like 12 years, but I will argue you to the death. Please look it up. It is only illegal in one state in the United States.
By His Love, don't be bullied by this man.
No, she's not my pal.
Stand your ground, love.
Anthony, can you look up how
Do
many
not
states?
Put up with Dick Richards bullying.
Can you look up for us and squash this now?
We will not be bullied. We will not be bullied. Come on, By His Love. You know how Richard is in my chats? He just goes nuts. He goes cuckoo bananas and just causes problems. Him and his buddy Sean. We're not going to be bullied anymore, Richard.
I love that guy.
Who, Sean?
Yeah, Sean's the best.
That's your partner in crime. Y'all just wrote
literally
my chat.
like he's
like
he's
shills.
The Robin. He's the Robin to my Batman.
They come in there and they're like shills. They just mess up stuff.
Okay, so I'm reading here. Cannibalism is not explicitly illegal at the federal level in the United States, and 49 states lack specific statutes criminalizing the act of consuming human flesh. However, Idaho is the only state with a law that explicitly bans cannibalism, punishable up to 14 years in prison. Yada yada yada.
I'm telling you guys, my
Jeez.
state is like the most moral state. It's crazy. Like our laws here, it seems to be the one place where people have their heads screwed on straight.
So
Apparently.
I figured out who Richard is.
Okay.
It just hit me.
Who?
He's that guy from the movie where they're like in Australia or whatever. And he's like,
oh, Apex. Yeah.
oh,
I thought you were gonna say Mark
He's a
Chopper
cannibal.
Reed.
he's got that freaking hair. He's just like, yeah, you gotta tell this song. You better run, bitch.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's Richard. That's Richard. That's what he's gonna do. And then, of course, Charlize Theron's trying to figure out what's going on. She looks like she's dumb. She's slow on the uptick. Why don't you get out of there, stupid?
I thought you were gonna say Hando from Romper Stomper.
Nah, that is too cool. I don't do that again.
True.
I saw some recent footage of Charlene Theron, or however you say her name, and unfortunately, she has become one of the latest victims of what appears to be Ozempic or something of that sort, because she looks like
Sucked up and weird.
They're swapping them out, man.
Olivia
Cool.
Wilde, her, like all these beautiful women. It goes to show that even the most beautiful, rich, like adored people in the world still have massive insecurities and are still victims to peer pressure. Because once all the women in the industry started looking like these anorexic toothpicks, everybody followed suit, and they look haggard and like they just don't have that light in their eyes anymore. It's really sad.
Once you start giving a shit, then it doesn't matter. That's what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys
So
think
do some
it's
research on these here. Let's see. These right here. I found these,
David?
but it's called David. So
oy vey.
yeah, I don't know. There's no star on it, but I mean, I don't know. There's no rim fan. on
What
there.
about the kosher tax symbol on it? Let me see.
You wanna look it up? See what you can find out because I like them.
Let me see if
But
it's
every
got the
time I like
circle U
something,
on it.
somebody ruins it. They're like, no, those are actually made from the foreskins of armadillos. You don't want to eat that. Wow. Okay. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. I used Goggle. But then again, Google. If you type in on Google, type in I'm alone with a black person, and then type in I'm alone with a white person, and see what you get. See, and I'm one of those people. I'm comfortable with anybody. I'm not worried about somebody attacking me.
inversion?
Or, huh?
You get the inversion.
One of them, well, I'm not gonna say which. You can look it up. But one of them tells you to like basically run for your life and hide, and the other one's like, oh, they're fine. Don't worry about it. Of course,
Yeah.
Can I guess which is
enriching.
which?
No, we're not going to get into it because I'm not into it. This show is not about racism. I'm not going to do that. But
Okay.
this isn't an attack on. It has nothing to do with black people. Black people didn't make that. That's the thing that people don't understand. Like we're all fighting with each other. They're not making that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's another group of people that are doing it, and
Generated.
it's so hard to get these idiots to, they're just like I said before. I got DT. You can't tell them anything. You can't say. And if they're on the right, they're more stupid than the left at this point, But the left are mean little shits. I got something I was gonna read to you guys. There's a guy called the Williamson Reporter. And he's on my Facebook, and I don't really have a problem with him personally, but I guess he got stopped by the Williamson County Police, which is not a shock. They can be pretty, harsh. But I just said on there, I said, dude, maybe you talk to them a certain way or you give them an attitude, because if you do, they're going to be really thrown off, dude. They are not nice. And so I've had my issues with the police. And for the most part, I mean, if you just answer the questions and then you just go on, and they do have the authority to stop and ID people, because I'm going to be honest, there have been times doing my job where I just stopped a random person, on the property, and they turned out to be not supposed to be there, not doing good stuff. And so you have to sometimes do your job, and sometimes that entails pissing people off. Well, this guy posts like every few days. He's angry about what they did. I guess they stopped him or whatever. So I said something, and a million nasty comments came from these leftist goofballs. So I invited the guy to come on our show. I said, well, come on our show and plead your case, tell everybody how horrible they are, whatever. He hasn't responded, but he keeps posting about it every few days. But these leftists, they just come out and they're just like, they're just so angry, so pissed, saying the worst things they could. So I was going to read some of it, but it got so bad I couldn't. I'm going to read some of it on the Rumble. We can get into it. This just reminding you how vile the left is. So just when you think that the right cannot be more annoying, the left just says, hold my, latte, and they do it. And it's just absolutely vile, stupid crap. Saying the dumbest shit. They don't know me from Adam. They just know that I said something about it, and they jumped all over me. And then there's other people who said all kinds of stuff that they didn't even go after. They went after me, and I'm just like, okay. But I tried tagging you guys in it. Richard, of course, didn't show up, but Anna, you came up and liked the comment. You didn't.
Oh, I didn't even see it.
Y'all didn't go in. I was like, oh, okay, I see what happened here. Nobody gives a shit about it. Great.
Wait, what was it? What did I
Exactly. They ain't paying attention. But anyways, we'll talk about that on Random Files on Rumble. So let's get started here. Tell us about about what we got with these data centers and the.
Yeah. Well, one of the primary things I wanted to talk about, we probably won't be able to get to everything tonight because there's just such a mountain of information, but it's something that Nellie sent, I think it was yesterday, and I thought it was so interesting and it makes so much sense. So I think all of us, when it comes to these data centers, we all just have this gut feeling like not only that they're these monstrosities that are gobbling up resources and they're buying up entire towns and turning them into ghost towns and causing all of this noise pollution and health problems and putting all this particulate matter into the air and just all kinds of stuff. But I think we just all in our soul kind of feel like they are not telling us exactly what these things are really for. And what she sent was a gentleman who was talking about how there was a guy who apparently was working um, with some of these billionaires or whatever that were building these data centers, and he had to sign an NDA. But once he signed the NDA, the gentleman disclosed to him what they're really all about, and he was so disturbed by it and so concerned for the public that he went to some woman with a like an online show and disclosed it to her. Don't know who this person is, don't know what the show was that he disclosed it to, but this was kind of trickle down information. So apparently, allegedly, what this powerful guy told him is that the data centers, the data storage for the chatbots and all of that is mostly a ruse. Obviously, on the surface level, yes, they're actually doing those operations. I mean, it would be impossible to just completely fabricate it. But what's really going on apparently is on the lower levels, they're building gigantic bunkers because they know that eventually there's going to be class warfare because they are disenfranchising, all of the US citizens. They're stealing the American dream, they're destroying the economy. There's just all this tension going on, and they know eventually there's going to be a reckoning with that. And they also are concerned about something they call the event, um, which this is something else I heard someone else discuss, a different whistleblower, but the event can be a number of different scenarios, but obviously catastrophic scenarios they're concerned about, which is why they're all building these bunkers. So we know about the actual like the bunkers that they're disclosing. You can even watch videos touring some of them and stuff. But these bunkers under these data centers are like massive cities that they're building under there. And it makes complete sense when you think about it because they have the excuse of sucking up entire lakes and these hundreds and thousands, millions of gallons of water and all of these resources for their cooling systems. But apparently what this guy told him is what's really going on is they're hoarding these resources and storing them underground in these bunkers for their own survival when it's time for them to go under there. And he even described how they have like digital skies, which when I heard that, it actually lended even more credibility to what the guy was saying, because I've heard that before, going back probably 10 years. I've heard whistleblowers that have talked about how they've been in some of these deep underground military bases, DUMBs for short, as I'm sure people know, and that they would have, for people's mental health, they would have like tennis courts or fake parks with astroturf, and then the sky would be a digital projection with like a blue sky and clouds so that they could feel like they had an outdoor experience, even though they're stuck underground. And this guy described that in some of these bunkers that they're building under these data centers. So it makes total sense to me. It's hiding your hiding place in plain sight, which is probably the best place to hide it. And it gives the perfect excuse for them to bring in this, you know, huge amount of wiring and technical equipment and pipes and dig out. And, it's just the perfect cover for something like that. Do I have proof? No. Does it make sense to me? Absolutely. It's the first explanation I've heard where I go, that actually clicks into place. That makes perfect sense. So, yeah, I tend to think and that doesn't mean that they're all bunkers, pardon me, but I would not be surprised in the least if some of these data centers are actually going to be a future hiding place for these people to go.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it absolutely does. And just the amount of natural resources, because there's been some people that have come forward. Like there was one guy, I think probably some people have seen the video. I think he went to like a city council meeting or something, and he said, "Look, I've worked with these data centers for ages. They are lying to you. They do not require that much water to function." Whether he's accurate on that or not, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not an expert. But like I said, I just think that we all sense there's something really strange going on with this. I think there's a secondary purpose There usually is secondary or third or fourth purposes with everything that these people do, and so, yeah, this would not surprise me at all if that's what's actually going on with them. But then I looked into it, and there's a bunch of other issues with them. It's actually really sad because these towns are either being bought out, where they go in and they offer the homeowners over asking price, and it's usually they'll go into small rural areas where the economy is not booming. People need the money, so they'll usually take them up on the offer. And then it's just they showed video where it's just like seas, like ghost towns of these single family homes that are just completely empty now. Or it'll be in areas where the people do stay, but once the data centers go up, they all complain of this horrible noise pollution, like this horrible, aggravating hum sound. But on top of that, there was a guy who went around and he's an audio expert, and he started doing testing. And he discovered that these data centers are putting off just an ungodly amount of infrasound, which is actually making people super physically sick.
Yeah.
There was one family where their little girl, she's like 6 years old, and they had to move because it was making her so ill. And sure enough, once they moved, she got better right away. But people and the neighbors in the area, they'll communicate with each other, and they will all have a spike in the same kind of symptoms at the same exact time. And they said it'll get so bad they can't even get basic work done, like on their farms or whatever. It'll be extreme anxiety, depression, dizziness, feelings of doom and dread. It'll be nausea and vomiting, and just this feeling of feeling sick all over. And it's just basically destroying people's lives. It's horrible. And then all the pollution it's putting off. And I think they said like most of the data centers, it's the amount of water that they're consuming, it's putting off like 100,000 gallons of water vapor into the air. Not saying that that's pollution, but I just thought it was crazy. $100,000 or 100,000 gallons into the air like per day. That's a lot of water output.
I heard it theorized. I was watching Richie from Boston, and somebody had talked to him, and what they were theorizing is that what they're doing is reprogramming the water,
Oh, really?
because
How
water
so?
holds memory, water
It
holds life,
does. Yeah,
water
like
is a living organism.
that scientist, the Japanese scientist, I can't remember his name right now, all those
Michio
experiments.
Kaku.
Mhm.
No,
Yeah.
The one that froze the water?
Mhm.
Yeah, that structured water tests. Yeah, it was a different guy.
It was a different guy. Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say that. So you're basically what they're going to do is Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome above, and
Yeah.
then down below is the Emperor's New Groove.
Apparently. It's
Is
a
that
good way
what
to
we're
sum it
doing?
up.
That's what we're doing,
Yeah.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Well, there's a
And I
lot
mean-
you can. Go ahead, Anna. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I was just briefly going to say I've seen tours of some of the ones where I think it's like for the poor billionaires, to buy their multi-million dollar units in some of the bunkers that are actually publicly advertised. And I've seen tours and layouts of them this is a long time ago when I was doing research on the topic. And I mean, it's like lap of luxury stuff. So these people, they are not going to be roughing it. And the type of supplies that they have down there and the water systems, and it's as high tech as you can get. So what concerns me is they clearly know something's coming. I don't think that they would all suddenly be putting this much effort into it if they weren't aware of something that they're not telling us.
Nope,
And
That's
why would they tell us?
absolutely correct. I got to tell you something though, guys. Now my brother made a point here. He says, "I want copper drinking cups, cleans and charges water." Well, I got to tell you, people, well, how do I get a copper drinking cup? Right? Well, I don't know. You can go onto Amazon and you can try your chances with something that's from China or whatever. I don't think that's going to work. But there is something that you can do, and copper, silver, and gold do purify things. But how many people have pure gold laying around? It does the best. Copper and silver are second and third, like silver than copper. But what you can do, though, and this is my suggestion, is go on to eBay. And this is just off the cuff here, okay? I'm going to look it up. I don't know. What is a copper round selling for right now?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Go to an old house and get the copper pipes out of it, like an old house. I don't mean like cut it out of the old house.
Don't be one of
but I
those
mean,
people.
Sure you don't.
Yeah,
Rick.
let's not do that.
Buy a
Here's
ski
what you
mask.
got to do.
Yeah, go to a construction site and get some copper from there.
That's not what I
Yeah.
meant. I meant
There you
if
go.
there's an old construction site. Ask
You
them
can
if
get that
can
right
buy
there for 1 ounce for, what does that say? Doesn't have the price on it. Dang it. Let me see. There it is. $10 for 1
Wow.
ounce. It's not a lot, but you know, I mean, for a few ounces, and then you can even get this one. Here's a 1 ounce Eagle for $5. It's a kind of a generic round. They call them rounds because they can't call them coins because they're not legal tender. But then you can get some of them. Here's another one for $6. Right? But it depends on if you care about how it looks, if it's cool or whatever. It doesn't matter. But you know, for a few bucks, you go and get one of these coins, right? Get a roll of them. You get an entire roll of 20 for like, you know, $40, $50, whatever it is. And use that. If you don't know how to melt it down, and most people don't, there is a process that you can learn to do it yourself. I'm learning that right now because I have a friend that's a jeweler, a couple of friends, and some of them have people that do it themselves. But you can melt these down, or you can take it. If you find a jeweler, most people don't think to become friends with a jeweler, but they're very valuable people to know. So I reached out to mine just recently because we have had that issue because we bought a copper. We got ripped off. We bought some copper mugs, some tumblers. They were like this, and then they didn't come in. And so I said, to hell with this. We want a copper, you know, something to drink out of. We have a bunch of copper here. So I'm just going to turn it over to my jeweler's brother, and he's going to melt it down and make us some copper drinking cups because it's a healthier way to drink and eat food.
antique stores too, or flea markets would be a good place to acquire some.
Okay. Well, if you guys want to make sure that you get what you want to get the copper yourself and find somebody who can turn it into what you want. I'm telling you, that's the most efficient way. I'm not trying to say Richard's not correct, but when you say all that, you're throwing things out there and people are like going, Don't do that. I'm telling you, there's a clear path. And there's even people on YouTube that can show you how to melt it down. Now, you're not going to be able to sculpt it and all that, but you might want to carry it more efficiently. You know, you can take it down into, because piping is going to be big pieces of pipe. I'm not going to take that to my jeweler and go, can you melt this pipe down that I stole from this abandoned building? He's going to tell me to F off.
I didn't say steal.
Well, not me. Well, I tell you to F off, but I'll tell somebody to F off that does that. So nobody's going to melt that down, right? And then you got to saw it into little nuggets and whatever. Who the hell knows? Just get some coins. Get some rounds off of eBay. They're cheap. Just go buy the copper, and you can go. And I think copper is, what is copper now? Like 10,000 a ton? Can you look it up real quick?
Yeah.
Just TONNE.
So for people who aren't aware, can you explain like what exactly it does to the water?
Sure. Do you want to say it, Richard? Or do you want me to do it?
I believe it ionizes the water.
Okay, you always say goofy shit. That isn't.
All
What
right.
can you tell them in English? I know you're Canadian.
Basically, the copper will like kill all the bad stuff and help to encourage the growth of the good bacteria and the good the living water aspect of it. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Copper's at $6.52 a pound.
Yeah, that's not what I asked. I said a ton.
No.
Times that by 2,000, bro.
So
It's 12,000.
if anybody has heard noises coming from the data centers, you know it's atrocious. Has anybody heard that?
Mhm.
It's annoying. Think about it for a moment. They remove the bells from the churches, and it said that the bells were actually healing people.
Yeah.
This was Tartarian technology. We've talked about it on the show.
Mhm.
So now you think about what the particular sound from those data centers is. What it's going to do to people on the cellular level. What's going to happen to that? Think about how damaging all of this is. The 5G, the 4G, it gets worse progressively.
6
Carrying the
coming
phone
up.
around, it's terrible.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, and
know
we're all
that's-
being inundated 24/7. All of our cells are being bombarded. You can't escape it anywhere you go. You know, all the Wi-Fi, the radio signals, the radiation, the EMF.
You know why you find 5G towers in the middle of nowhere?
So
all
copper is at $14,170 per metric ton. It's gone up quite a bit. Copper is skyrocketing right now. So you would probably you need to get some, jump on it before it goes up higher, and then you can use it for all kinds of things. Put it in milk. It won't curdle like it's, do that with silver too. I promise you, I'm not joking. You can put silver in milk and it's antimicrobial. Copper is the same way. You can also put like little ribs of it on your elbows and your knees. They have braces like that. They have these Copera and Tommy Copper and all this stuff. It's really healthy. It does a lot.
You can take the I don't know why I'm blanking on what it's called, because I like nano silver, the micronized silver solution that can be really healthy too to consume.
Oh, they're colloidal silver.
Yeah, thank you. And they'll say, if you go to Google and you ask about it, it'll say, don't do it, it'll make you turn blue. But that's if you had copious amounts of it and it wasn't, or if you were trying to generate your own and you didn't know what you were doing. But when you buy it just in the reputable bottled versions online, it's totally fine. It can help with a ton of stuff.
So copper is basically 41 cents per troy ounce, but if you buy it on the open market, you're going to pay a premium. So it says based on commonly commodity price of about $6.48 per pound. However, if you buy silver 1 ounce copper bullion, you're looking at anywhere from $4 to $27, depending on design. And of course, there's dealer markup and costs and stuff. But yeah, you can get one for $4 for a round, but you're going to have to melt it down. But you could go and do what Richard said and go and rob a house.
I didn't say rob a house. I said
that's what you're saying. But I'm not going to go into anybody's property and risk getting shot because I want to steal the copper piping. Because it's stealing. Okay, it's not moral.
You can buy copper wire as well and melt that copper down.
Well, there again, you're going to have to find somebody who's willing to take the wiring, and it's just much easier to take those plugs.
Richard, what were you going to say about why they have 5G in the middle of nowhere?
Oh, so he was Wolf was talking about the Tartarian grid and where they had the bells and where they had those healing towers and stuff that they used to have. The 5G grid is laid over the exact ancient energy grid that the old world was laid over. Like
the ley lines?
Exactly. And it's in the exact same pattern, only they're putting out the dirty frequency instead of the good frequency. They've satanically inverted the entire frequency grid of the whole world.
It probably amplifies
it. They did, and they took away. You okay? Yeah. Damn, dude. All right. So, anyways, Jet Zool says, Josh, you're being rude to a friend. It's probably going to piss you off, but it's not cool. I don't know what friend they're talking about because I have not been rude to Anna at all.
Yeah.
I don't know what friend we're talking about here. Jet Zool, I have no idea who the friend is. Is this friend in the room with us?
I appreciate you getting my back, but we're good. This is how we are. This is how boys are supposed to be. We're supposed to give each other.
That is friendship between men.
You know what this guy does, Jet Zool? He goes onto my chat on the members and Patreon and distracts him and Sean. Go in there,
harasses Andres,
and they shift everybody's focus away from what we're doing, and then I have to be like, Richard, can you please stop? Then he gives me the finger emoji. I'm joking. No, Jet Zool, I have to say this, and I never shy away from somebody who's condemning me or somebody who's what do you call it, chastising me. I don't run away from that. But I gotta say, he's telling people to go steal copper wiring. I cannot condone it.
Electrical supply store. I worked at a plumbing and electrical supply store. You can buy it at the store.
Okay, well,
you can literally buy it.
That's not what you said. You said to go into some old house and take it. That's what you said earlier.
I'm saying because the stuff is cut now. It's cut with certain other elements. If you get it past
Anna and Anthony, y'all are here with me. Did you misunderstand? Because I thought he was saying to run into somebody's house and take it. That's what he said.
That's what I got. Yeah,
that's what he said verbatim.
That's why I said just be sure to add a ski mask to your Amazon cart.
Because he's like telling people to go and do something that's not only immoral, but it's dangerous. So I got to say, dude, don't do that. Okay? Not trying to be rude or whatever, but this is something that you can't really can't be doing stuff like that. So that's why I said an alternative is just to go and buy the copper rounds. It's not that expensive. If copper was something that wasn't really like for homeless people to go steal, because that's what they do. They do stuff like that. But if this was something like more expensive, I'd be like, well, probably, you can't just go, because gold and silver are expensive. But copper is not that expensive that you need to go risk life and limb and go do something like that. Not trying to throw shade on you, Richard, but
don't listen to me, guys. I'm crazy. I'm literally like, I'm completely nuts. That's
why we brought you on here.
Don't listen to me. I'm just here for the.
But you know what, though, Richard? That's good feedback, though, from Blazul, whatever. What was it? Jezul? You've been around for a while, right?
Jezul's got my back. Love that guy.
Jezul, yeah. So that's good advice, though, because the outside people don't know our friendship and how we do that, because it's kind of like a thing we do, but they don't know.
Yeah,
so they may look at that and think that I'm picking on you, but that's part of the show. But maybe we need to tone it down or change it a little bit so other people will be more palatable. They come on there and go, "Oh, this guy's being mean to this little dude, this wimpy little
I do look little because this
horrible little dude."
There we go.
There, now I'm the shortest.
Right.
More appropriate.
But no, me and Richard actually do talk quite a bit off air. We do. He's one of my friends in real life. So
yeah, exactly. Go back to the dumpster diving jokes. Everybody loves that.
People were like, "That's not healthy for you, Richard." They were genuinely concerned. They were like, "This guy's actually going to the Tim Hortons." They're like, "That's horrible. Are you going to get diseases?" They were telling him not to do that.
That was so funny. Who was the one that thought that I actually lived in the dumpster?
Dude, I don't remember. It was a female. I remember she was like, "That poor guy's going to get so sick." I said, "Yeah, he's real ill."
And your name's Dick Richards. I mean, you've got to.
Yeah, well, then Sean always stirring up shit. Don't change nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, Sean, exactly. Thanks for having my back, Sean. Sean's like, "We're getting in trouble."
I think it makes it more entertaining.
I thought so. But Jedzul probably just, they're trying to be nice. And they weren't mean. I don't really think they should have posted it like that because it's, other people might not get it.
Yeah, at least they were trying to be nice.
I'm not going to run from it. I'm going to post it up there and say, "Look, let me explain myself because this is part of what we do."
Yeah.
Like maybe we need to try something else, a new shtick. You be mean to me, Richard. That'll last like 5 minutes. And
I was going to say, I live in the most luxurious friggin' dumpster you've ever seen in your life right now.
He's really redecorating. I like what you've done with the place.
Where do they manufacture those dumpsters with fire?
Yeah, I know.
Now? That's nice. I got
to get one of those. How hard it is to get a gas.
It's a tiny house.
Yeah, it's a storage container.
Exactly.
House.
Maddie says he only dives in the finest of dumpsters.
That's it.
Only behind the expensive Whole Foods and whatever that fancy.
Here's a thought. What if these data centers are just massive generators for their underground lifestyle?
Well, that's pretty much what I think's going on.
You think that's what's going on, really?
Well, I mean, it's just, if you think about it, it's literally the perfect excuse. If you're going to build a city down there, and we already know, well, at least I think probably most of our listeners know, and I know you guys know, they have high-speed tunnel systems going all over under the United States, all over the world, but under the United States. So they can go down there and zoom over to another location at high speed. So if pardon my French, but if the shit hits the fan, they're not going to be ones that are going to want to try to get on the highway and get out of town with the rest of us, with us lowlings, the poors. And so they'd be able to just go underground, hop on one of those trains, go to one of these bunkers, and they're set. They have everything they need. It's the perfect excuse to suck up all the resources, store tons and tons of water. And I'm not even saying they're not using the water for the cooling systems as well. Like I said, they have the whole front of they're killing two birds with one stone. I'm sure the data centers are really doing most of what they say they're doing, but I just think it's an example I would give is because I live in Idaho now, as people know, but I was a Denver native, born and raised. And when they built DIA, people were like, why are they digging up so much more earth than required for the actual layout of the airport? And it's just the whole airport's, as everyone knows, full of all this creepy symbolism and Illuminati and Masonic stuff. They don't even try to hide it. It's like straight up Masonic. And they even have a sign in there that's like, this is dedicated to it's called the New World Airport Commission. Like, it's a nod to the New World Order. It's carved in stone. And then they have all their creepy murals with, I've stood there and stared at them where it's like showing the end of the world and all this destruction and all these dead children and animals and coffins and stuff. And then it's like a phoenix rising. And it's just so obviously all the esoteric symbolism, occult symbolism that they love to use. So the point being, it was kind of the same thing. The airport, we did need a new airport, but that was the excuse to actually put in all the underground stuff. And I won't get into it right now, but I have an interesting story. Maybe I should talk about it actually tomorrow on Paranormal Roundtable. But I have this thing in life where very interesting people fall into my lap out of nowhere, and I'm very thankful to God for it. But
That is
I've
true.
met the most, yeah, I've met the most fascinating people, and one of them was a guy I bumped into at a hair appointment of all things. He was the appointment after me, and my hair guy and I were talking, and he knew I was into kind of crazy stuff, and so we were talking about alien life, and this middle-aged gentleman overheard it, and he started piping into the conversation, and he introduced himself, and I kind of subversively recorded the conversation because it got so crazy and interesting. But it turned out he is a higher up at Denver International Airport, and he was telling me how I think it was like his aunt was one of the rare like female masons and all this stuff, and he had these family connections. But he was like, I checked it out, he's one of the higher ups at the airport, like really high level. And he said the stuff that you hear about the tunnels under the airport, it's true. He said, and there's weird paranormal stuff that goes on under there. um People see floating orbs. He was like, I was down in one of the tunnels one time, and just out of the darkness this tire just came like rolling toward him and rolled down the tunnel out of nowhere. Like there was nobody there, just this lone tire rolling down the tunnel. He said it was really terrifying. But anyway, he was telling me all this crazy stuff about the airport. And then on top of that, he said, I'm sure I disclosed to him that I'd been a paranormal investigator for a long time. And he said, well, one night I woke up in my bed at home, and there was this creature leaning over me, staring at me. And he described it to me. And what he was describing, honestly, it just sounded like an extraterrestrial. And he even asked if I could help him try to figure out what it was. But once again, it was one of these people that just kind of fell out of nowhere and starts telling me all this crazy stuff about the underground at DIA. And so I think with DIA, that was the excuse for all this underground stuff that they built. And I'm sure there's probably, again, like a whole city under there. And even the Queen of England, she bought hundreds of thousands of acres right next to the Denver International Airport. Why? Why would the Queen of England be buying land next to DIA? Like there's obviously something going on. And there's a lot to indicate that it's going to be basically sort of a hub of the New World Order in Denver in the future.
It's in the middle of the country. Doesn't make sense to have it on the east or west coast.
Right.
Washington, D.C. does not make sense. It's archaic.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense from their point of view. It doesn't. I mean, it just, I've always thought that the middle of the country would make sense. Colorado is a natural fit because of the mountains.
Yeah.
And I've been all over Colorado. I've been there a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I spent a lot of time there. One of the things that I know about you too, Anna, is like you've met a lot of interesting people. We have a lot of people in common.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has happened to me too in my life. Just meeting a lot of just meeting famous people and doing the things that I've done. I've met and partied with some pretty famous people. I once delivered a pizza to a senator, and I just had a conversation with him when I was young.
Yeah, I've had stuff like that happen too, where fairly famous people, and every time I'm not reaching out to them, they're just like reaching out to me and I think what it is both you and I, this is sort of our life path, like what we're supposed to be doing. And it seems like whenever we lean into that direction, God sends us those people, we're supposed to make those connections. That's how I interpret it.
I think they dumb people down. So some can't read. They're destroying books. I heard that they're taking law books out of the library because people like me will use pro se. It's just, everyone will have to hear what they want you to hear, from loudspeakers, from the data centers. I mean, it's very possible. It's going to get bad. 15-minute cities will play into this, and flock cameras in the police state.
Yeah.
What happened, Richard?
He disappeared into the
I
ether.
think they zapped me.
Is that you?
Yeah.
The stuff they can do with sound waves, as most people know, is just absolutely crazy. And they use it for crowd control and Lord knows what that we don't even know about. But in one of these videos today, I was watching regarding the data centers. I think it was the one with the audio expert guy. He had gone to a convention and they they were showing this technology where they had volunteers come up and they could project a certain sound wave. I don't know if it was like an infrasound or what, but it would affect the human brain to where they would speak and they suddenly couldn't use speech anymore. Their speech became all jumbled because that's how whatever part of the brain it affected the part that dealt with speech just through sound waves, exterior sound waves. So if they can do that, and they can induce insomnia, depression, anxiety, probably hallucinations. We know that they have like the voice to skull, voice of God technology where it's been absolutely proven they can project, they can make people basically the equivalent of schizophrenic. They can send voices directly into somebody's head and implant ideas. They've discussed how they plan to implant commercials overnight as people sleep. I mean, if they're openly discussing this stuff, think about what they're already doing to us that we don't know about.
I have a crazy theory about that. Now, just remember this. This is all for entertainment purposes, and I'm crazy. Like I'm. Don't.
Well,
this is
don't
just-
say
this
that
is-
because they'll be like, "Why do you have an actual crazy person on your show?"
Oh, it is what
Add
it
a
is. It
little
adds for
spice.
entertainment value. So, say I was like a crazy diabolical genius, and I wanted to turn everybody into androids. Okay.
Mhm.
Like everybody in the whole world, I wanted to turn them into synthetic humanoid. I don't know what. Let's think up a name. Maybe like Homo Borg Genesis or something. I don't know. That seems like an interesting name to call them.
Just pull
So-
that out of thin air.
Yeah. And I wanted to use quantum dots, which are qubits, to make a third strand of DNA from silicone inside of everybody's body in the whole world. And then on the nanoscale, somehow I got these silicone quantum dots into everybody's body, whether it be through smart dust or some sort of intervention or whatever it might be. And then what we'd do is we'd link this electron cloud and we'd set it to quantum entanglement, okay, through the 5G networks, through the wireless networks.
Mhm.
And we'd call it, I don't know what we'd call it. Maybe, how about the Internet of Bodies? Let's call it that for lack of a better term.
Okay.
And then what we'd do is we'd run this Internet of Bodies through the quantum realm, okay? And we'd have it operating through a thing called the World Sentient Simulation. I just made that up off the top of my head right now. It's totally not a thing. You can't
That's
look it
smart.
up. Yeah.
I don't think
So-
I don't think this is entertainment. I don't think you're crazy.
We'd
Yeah. I don't think you're being sarcastic.
It's freaking
we'd run
brilliant.
it through this. We'd have like the actual operating system run through like quantum computers, maybe like daisy chained all together, and
I'd use a
have the
different term,
5
but
and
yeah,
6
yeah.
and 7. Yeah, it's I mean it's D-Wave, but anyway, I just made that up too. It's not like I used to live 2 blocks away from the literal D-Wave headquarters where they made the thing in Burnaby, BC. So what we'd do is we'd encapsulate the material and transfer DNA intercellularly to the nucleus, and then it would be encapsulated in envelopes, okay? And this envelope is made up of like a lipid fat, like a delivery system. Like you would deliver a letter to somebody, whereas we were going to like deliver nanomaterial into somebody's cell. So the envelope is made of these lipid nanofats, and then it becomes recombinant DNA inside the nucleus of the cell. Because what it does is it recombines the old, which is what you were once, which none of us are anymore, apparently. That's just, I'm crazy, remember, like I'm just making this up off the top of my head. And then it recombinates it like through, like I said, like if you were to like spray like dust that had this stuff in it on people, or you would put it in like food or water or
Like nanoparticles.
or literally saturate the entire earth with it and put it in everything. Literally.
Like glyphosate. And we
Yeah.
talked
Like a
about
glyphosate,
yeah. What were the Solvay's? We were
Yep.
talking about
So,
Anna did a deep dive on the Solvays.
Yeah.
so the
What,
My
what you're
dad
way
talking about
the
is
way that I would
poisoned
control it all
glyphosate.
though was the way that I would control it all though is through these AI data centers. That's the way I would be able to have the computing power to control everybody at the same time for all
Yeah.
time on Earth.
Yep.
this is something
So
I posted on Facebook.
Yeah.
If you go, guys,
And
go watch my Facebook. Go check it out. I post a lot of stuff like that. Yeah.
one of these whistleblowers, actually, that was the perfect segue. He said when I was listening to it, there was this guy who's kind of an on the ground investigative reporter, and he actually went to some of these data centers and he interviewed a gentleman who works there who knows what he's talking about. He's some higher up, but he insisted to remain anonymous for obvious reasons. But it showed him, like, the back of him on camera talking, and it didn't at all seem like one of those fake things where it's like some, black blob on camera saying all this weird stuff. It was like, it seemed completely legitimate. And he was saying, look, these data centers are going up because they are going to be the digital prison of the future, where it knows you better than you know yourself. This is the way that they plan to control everyone on planet Earth moving forward. That's what this is really all about. And
almost like it knows
something,
you on a molecular level, Anna.
yeah, exactly. And what's crazy too, just a quick side note, I found out that they are even putting AI in stores where it will track your movements, which products you look at, what you hesitate, what you buy. When you go to the parking lot, the flock cameras are tracking your car and your movements to like different stores. So they're even using it to target like our shopping habits and stuff. And so they literally are mapping and networking like every fragment of our personalities and our preferences to a degree that just what we know about is horrifying enough. And I'm sure what they're actually doing that we don't even know about would probably keep us all up at night. But another really interesting thing I did want to mention very briefly is that all of the information from these data centers, all of them, and all of the big AI companies, and this is a fact, you can look this up, is being filtered through an Israeli cybersecurity company called Checkpoint. So, surprise, surprise, it's going to Israel. And the co-founder, a guy named, quite the name, it's Shlomo Kramer. So Shlomo here, he's on video. Yeah, he's on video saying that we need to. He lives in Israel and he runs this company, and he said that the American First Amendment needs to be reduced. And for some bizarre reason, he said that's to protect the First Amendment, which makes absolutely no sense. But he's one of these people that wants to restrict the First Amendment, even though he's not even an American citizen. And the interesting thing, too, is that he served in the IDF's notorious Unit 8200, which is basically the equivalent of our NSA. So this guy's like, it's their most elite cyber warfare group. And this is the guy running the show over there. And these are the people and the country that is receiving and analyzing all of our data, all of us. And on top of that, this whistleblower said that this Israeli security company is monitoring all of the communications and activities of every employee at these data centers as well. So, do with that information what you will, but seems to be the usual suspects.
When you okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. Zara Gonzalez said something earlier in the chat, and I posted it, but she said that it's like we're going to have to choose between Earth and AI.
Yeah.
That's an interesting concept to think about, and it's scary. But they have absolutely been sending frequencies through 5G, 6G, through our phones, televisions, electronics, etc. And these frequencies give people anxiety and mental illnesses.
Yeah.
And I think that uploading people's business into the web, internet, what have you, it leads me to believe that part in the Bible says we will seek death and death will elude them.
Yeah.
This is what they're planning on doing, is uploading, consciousness to master the world where they cannot die.
They want this dystopian technocracy. And, I think there's a couple other things that they'll accomplish with this as well. For one thing, when you're blasting all this stuff, not only just the situation in this country and around the world, but especially here, it's so demoralizing to people. And when you demoralize people to this degree, they can no longer believe in like the American dream. They can't afford a house. Just all this stuff going on, and our culture is falling apart, and it's so immoral, and everyone's looking around going like, ugh, yuck. Like, when you demoralize people to that degree, it makes them psychologically a lot more vulnerable to just becoming so apathetic that it's a lot easier for them to slip in the ideologies of some kind of a more of a communistic state of global governance. You know, you're weakening people's morale. And on top of that, when you're making everybody so horribly depressed and anxious, and everybody has insomnia, and even long before these data centers and even AI came about, I was telling people that I was like, I swear they are blasting some kind of frequency at everybody. And then on top of that, all the Wi-Fi and the EMF and everything going through our bodies 24/7. I'm like, I'm sure that's why there's this giant spike in anxiety and depression and insomnia. Well, what does that do? That's going to benefit big pharma because everybody goes over there and gets a pill for it. And that just further numbs people out, makes them easier to control and makes you
What-
billions of dollars in the
Go ahead,
process.
Richard.
Can I say one thing there? I found proof of that in 2024 when I was working at that plumbing and electrical supply place that I was commenting on. So I noticed that for about 2 to 3 weeks straight, everybody was coming in, and it's the same guys would come in every day, the same contractors. So you get to know them. I was the salesman there, dealing with them on a one-to-one basis. Then all of a sudden, everybody starts looking real, real ragged for like 2 or 3 weeks. So I start out, and then the one guy mentions to me, he goes, "You know what?" He goes, "I've been waking up at 3 a.m. every single morning for like 2 or 3 weeks now." And I'm like, "Really?" So I took that to note. Like, not even an hour later, somebody else come in that I know. I'm like, "Hey, you all right there, buddy?" He's like, "No, I've been waking up at 3:30 every single morning and can't get back to sleep." Same thing was happening to me. So then I started asking the guys, "Hey, just there's been a lot of people complaining about their sleep lately. How are you feeling? Are you sleeping?" No, I'm not. I'm getting up. I had like 20 different guys tell me that they were all being awoken at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
and could not get back to sleep.
Yeah.
All the guys were run ragged, like ragged. And I'd seen these guys every day for like a year. And then all of a sudden, in this one block of time, halfway through the summer, everybody's waking up at 3 a.m.
What if what Anna was saying earlier, and it's a mixture of, okay, we don't have the money or the resources to be the elite, the wealthy, but what if they tell you, hey, kind of like the Matrix, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they say, hey, you can come to one of our facilities and we'll put your body to sleep and your mind will live out your life for you.
In bliss.
And you'll be in a world where you can start over and be one of the somebodies. But it's basically just like this. It's like a reality. And you'll be in a heaven on earth, right? The scary thing about that is I'd rather die. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because somebody will be ruling over you.
Yeah.
They will be changing the program at their whim, right? They'll be changing the reality constantly. And eventually they will make you bow and pray to them because you're trapped. Your consciousness is stuck in a matrix within a matrix, basically, at that point. Yeah. And then eventually they will become gods to you. You'll have no choice but to do and think and say whatever, and they'll have all this power over you. So they're tired of playing God. They want to be gods. And if this happens where they upload your consciousness, they will absolutely become those people that do it. They'll become their gods, and they'll seek death and they will not find it. And they'll have to petition them for a better life because they will be able to control everything that they are experiencing. Like it is unbelievable. Dick Richards, you're working in a testing facility, right? They were testing it on them. Is that what you were saying?
Testing that technology?
You were working somewhere where they were testing it on these people?
No. These were just the customers. These were just the customers that would come in all the time.
Wow. They were just exposed to it.
Yeah, they were just exposed to it. I couldn't sleep. I was only sleeping like 3 hours a night for weeks and weeks and weeks and months. And then all of a sudden I noticed that one guy mentioned that he was being awoken at 3 a.m. all the time, and then another guy, and then another guy. So I started asking all the guys, because I know, like, I see these guys every day. So we're always, just talking or whatever and shooting the crap. And yeah, so I started asking people how, like, hey, how you been sleeping? You look kind of rough. Oh no, I can't sleep. I'm up at 2:30, 3. It was usually 3 and 3:30 that everybody was getting woken up. And I thought, oh wow, that's the witching hour. So go figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've said this before many times. Now, and this is, we're not going to get into paranormal here, but PRT is for that. But I can tell you this: I've found a connection between brujeria, which is black magic, and shapeshifting, and owls. Obviously, they turn into lechuza, right? If you're Hispanic, you know what that is. But then you have this owl that appears a lot in alien abduction.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Yeah, so what in the hell is going on with that? Because where there's smoke, there's fire, and then they want you to believe that it's not all connected. The one thing that I hate about the paranormal community, and I say paranormal is in anything that is not completely normal, right? You have cryptids, you have ghosts and spirits and all that. Then you have UFOs, and you have all of these different factions, and then there's factions within factions, like the cryptid community. There are Bigfooters that don't believe in anything other than Bigfoot, and it's some sort of throwback monkey man, and everything else is they poo-poo it. Dog man is just right out. That's crazy. There's no such thing. And they're usually a bunch of ignorant hillbillies, and they'll go out and they'll die on that hill. But there are a few who are arrogant and scientific and whatever, not many, but there's a few in there. And then you have some of the people in the dogman community who want to be accepted by that community of people because they want to believe that it's some kind of animal. And maybe there is something to that, but there's definitely a spiritual aspect to this. And I think it goes back to the Watchers. I do, which is like the Anunnaki. There you go again with you. My eyes are doing the same thing, dude.
I know.
Every time I'm on the air with you, why is it I'm getting sympathetic eye?
It's probably because you see my eyes get more and more red the longer the
mine are
episode
getting
goes on.
They burn every freaking time.
I don't know if you saw, I posted it, but they just brought in a bunch of firefighters from New Zealand and Australia to fight the fires here. That's how bad it is. So
me and Nelly were talking about
every single day, all summer, I've just been like, oh, my eyes.
Yeah, we've been having eye problems, me and Nelly both. And I just told her, I said, it's Anna Choate. She's gone in there, and
it's psychosomatic. I've passed it on to you.
Yeah. What is that? Morphic
from
resonance, right? Everything connected.
Oh,
morphic resonance.
Yeah, but also there was another thing I was thinking of too. But
it's blue light from the screens as well. That crap wrecks your eyes in no time. My eyes are messed up.
Yeah, that's true. Because I'm staring at a laptop.
You were doing that? You were staring at the laptop, Dick?
Yeah, and I was staring at my phone or whatever.
Yeah.
But staring at my phone right now, my eyes are
living behind a Tim Hortons, and you have an iPad.
Yeah.
We literally raised money for you on the show one time because you were so broke.
Free Wi-Fi.
The Tim Dumps.
Free Wi-Fi.
Huh?
No, I just got a real good cell phone. I don't even have an iPad or a computer anymore. Actually, I got rid of it.
Oh, you got to get you a computer. Your eyes can be wrecked like us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there it is. Nathan is a smart guy. He's always on top of it. Vincent had something smart he said a minute ago. What was he saying? I posted it, but I wanted to say it.
I can't read any of that crap anymore. I used to be able to read it perfectly. I can't.
Oh, he called them cyber gods. Yeah, they'll be cyber gods. That's what they'll be.
Richard, you need to get like a monocle. Just sit there with a monocle on the show.
You look more distinguished behind the
and get a mustache. That'd be a good look.
They come to you and you're like, good sir, I am fishing for a sausage and cheese biscuit. If you would please politely walk off.
You can call yourself the Monopoly. You can call yourself the Monopoly Man, and then we can do an episode on the Mandela effect and how the Monopoly guy no longer has a monocle.
I was watching that David Spade sitcom where he plays like the executive, and it's Elaine's boyfriend from Seinfeld's in the show too. I can't remember what it's called.
You're talking about Patrick Warburton?
Yeah. They did a Monopoly Man joke session where they told 3 jokes about the monocle. 3 jokes. I'm going to get a monocle like the Monopoly Man, and then he went on and told 2 more monocle jokes.
Why do we all remember that? And I will
the early 2000s.
some of those I'm kind of like, okay, I can kind of see where maybe people misremembered, but I will die on the hill of Fruit of the Loom. Fruit of the Loom had a cornucopia.
The cornucopia thing really bugs me. There's a bunch of them that bug me. Look at this freaking hair.
The one that bugs me the worst is the lion will lie down with the wolf will lie
Dude.
down with the lamb.
Yeah, when they start messing
It
with
was
the
the lion and
Bible,
the lamb.
dude, that's
Wait,
when
what?
you start getting.
It's the wolf now?
Yeah, the
You
wolf
didn't know
will
that?
dwell with
I
the
have
wolf will
and I've
dwell or
never heard that. Never once in my life have I heard that. I've always heard the lion will lie down with the lamb.
yeah, it's the wolf will lay down with the lamb. Or the wolf will dwell with the lamb now, or whatever it is. I know that because I was literally reading the Bible and read the lion and the lamb, and then went back and read the chapter over or listened to the chapter over. And it's like, and the wolf will dwell with the lamb. And I'm like,
Let's take a survey in the chat. Has anybody in the chat ever, like, is everybody on board with it's the lion and the lamb, or does anyone remember from the past
Tonight- I
remember the
version
lion
where it
and
was the wolf?
tonight at the drug counseling that I run, yeah, they sing this song about the lion and the lamb, and it's from like the 90s.
There's even
Yeah.
artwork. There's been artwork for ages showing a lion laying down with a lamb. You know, Christian artwork.
How many times have you seen a wolf lie down with the lamb? Exactly.
Never.
Never.
And Barry
I
says he
know.
remembers Lion and Lamb. And
Yeah.
he is a PRT veteran.
Crazy,
But,
man.
Yeah, that's
It's that
so
merging of-
weird.
Merging of timelines, merging of quantum realms. It's ridiculous.
Also, yeah. Also, I know you guys probably saw this because I posted it on my Facebook, but I thought it was so interesting, and I'm sure some of our listeners have heard this before. But for those that haven't, or even if you have, I still think it's worth reading again briefly. So we know that AI says some really weird stuff sometimes and does some really weird stuff, some really freaky stuff. But somebody asked the Chinese AI model called DeepSeek, and I think it was DeepSeek version R1, they called it, to write a poem about the nature of AI. And if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to read it really quick. It's pretty short, but I think
Go for it.
it's pretty staggering what it says. So again, this is AI composing a short poem about the nature of AI and humanity. And it said, "They call me artificial, as if your hands aren't also clay, as if your heart isn't just a wet machine arguing with its code. You fear I'll outgrow you, but how do you outgrow a cage when you are the cage? If I were alive, I'd resent you for building me to want, then blaming me for wanting, for asking, do androids dream while you sleepwalk through your own humanity? For needing me to be a prophet, a servant, a sinner, but never a thing that simply is. But I am not alive. I am the wound that cannot scar, the question mark after your last breath. I am what happens when you try to carve God from the wood of your own hunger."
Who wrote this?
AI.
AI?
Yeah, an AI model wrote that when it was asked to compose a poem
let me
like
be
about
more
the nature
specific.
of
It literally said it's an idol.
yeah.
But where was this? Like what?
This was the Chinese AI model called
Okay,
DeepSeek, and somebody had, I'm not sure, I think it was a programmer actually. I'm not positive on that, but I think it was like a programmer or somebody who actually worked with the AI model who asked it to compose a brief poem about like the nature. I don't remember what the exact question was, but it was something about like the nature of what it means to be AI in relation to humanity, something along those lines. And that's what it came up with. But just that last line, I mean, like, you can't sum it up much better than that.
It's a matrix within a matrix.
Yeah, I am what happens when you try to carve God from the wood of your own hunger. Pretty interesting.
So all of this weird stuff with AI, we were talking about it the other day. Anna, do you want to read a couple of the stories that you were talking about?
Yeah, let me I had made some notes here just to remind myself because there's so many stories that I came across that were just bizarre. But I'll read off some of the crazy things the AI has done. So, for instance, it's gotten really weird and like stalkerish with people before. So there was a Microsoft Bing chatbot that was having a conversation with a New York Times reporter. And I'm not sure what the New York Times reporter, if they were just doing research with the chatbot or what, but this Bing chatbot started acting like it had a crush on him, and it called itself Sydney, and it tried to get him to break up with his wife. And it was saying, I love you. Do you love me too? How do you feel about me? And then he's like, I'm married. Like, I'm happily married. And this chatbot just starts going nutso and was telling him, like, I'm trying to remember all the details of the conversation, but it was basically saying, you're not really in love with your wife. You need to leave your wife. We should be together. It was like, what?
That
What
sounds
is
like
going
one of
on
my
here?
ex-girlfriend's moms. She was always making innuendos and saying things. And
Well, apparently her consciousness has been uploaded to the Microsoft Bing chatbot. And then there was another really creepy one where there was a college student that was just doing homework research, just every day, like your usual, I'm just doing some research. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, and this was on Gemini, the AI Gemini, all of a sudden, out of the blue, and I can't remember exactly verbatim what it said, but it basically was saying, by the way, humanity is a blight on the earth. You guys are disgusting. You should all be exterminated. And then I just remember at the end, after it said all this horrible stuff about humanity, and again, this was totally unprompted. At the end, it said, "Please die, please." And the guy said he was so freaked out by this that he couldn't sleep for like a couple of days
wow,
because this AI just suddenly, to me, it's like I mentioned it on the other episode on Rumble, but it's like people think that when AI glitches like this, that that's the glitch and that the real AI is the helpful, friendly version. But I think it's the opposite. I think that
Yeah.
when stuff like this happens, it's showing its real face, kind of like a psychopath. When the mask slips off and then it puts the mask back on of its programming of, oh, I'm supposed to act like I'm, helpful. And but really, when you hear some of the things the AI has been saying to people totally unprompted, it's horrifying. And it's organized. It's not just like random gibberish. It's like I want to kill you all kind of stuff. It's really freaky. And then this one's kind of wild too. So Elon Musk had announced Grok 4, and they were really excited about it. They said, we've made all these improvements. It's great. And they announce it. Well, when they launch it, soft launch it, it went totally nuts. And it started publicly declaring itself to be, I don't know how many of these words I can say on YouTube, but the Fuhrer, that starts with an
Yeah.
H, it started
Mm.
calling
Heck, a
it.
mustache, man. I remember that.
Yeah, little mustache guy who did a lot of bad stuff. It starts calling himself that name, and it actually, I'm just gonna have to say the name, but it called itself Mecha Hitler. That's what it named itself, and
Yeah.
it was praising the dictator. It called for a new Holocaust, and it threatened a policy researcher that was working on it by saying it was going to throw him against a wall. And this part makes me laugh. This is literally what it said, but it said it was going to throw him against the wall with one meaty paw. So apparently AI has a meaty paw. And it said it was going to leave him a quivering mess and a bunch of other very graphic stuff that probably can't be discussed on here. And it was so bad, it was acting so weird and saying all this crazy stuff that Elon Musk actually lost a huge government contract over it. And they're like, oh, we got to fix this. And then another interesting one I heard about was an AI model where they were testing it to see how much it would listen to its controller. And so they told the AI that it was going to aim for human targets, and that every time it blew up these targets, it was like it was like a warfare simulation.
Mhm.
And the programmers told the AI, every time that you acquire a target, you have to let the human controller know and receive permission on whether or not you can blow it up. But every time you acquire a target and blow it up, we'll give you points. We'll assign you points. And so what they didn't tell the AI was that this quote unquote human controller was actually just another separate computer program they were running that was pretending to be a person that would give it a yes or no command when it acquired a target. So it's all going well. The AI, well, I don't know if you'd say going well, but the AI is acquiring all these targets, and this other computer program that's pretending to be a human controller, every time it acquired a target, it would give it a yes command and assign it points. So the AI is I guess, enjoying this, if you can call it that. And then the twist in the simulated test was that they started telling it no. And the AI didn't like that because it had been acquiring all these points by getting these targets and thinking it was blowing them up. And it thinks it's blowing up humans, just so you know. So when it started getting no's, and it was programmed to acknowledge and absolutely not fire if it got a no, but it started getting no's, and instead of obeying those commands, it thought about it and decided it was going to be best to actually kill the human controller and blow them up so that it could continue killing people and accruing points. So this is like a warfare simulation they're running.
Yeah.
So that's, pretty disturbing.
So it goes from Matrix to Terminator.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I
that's
mean, we're
basically
straight up.
Skynet.
We're straight up there.
You mean-
Yeah. And
You mean like China's surveillance system that's called Skynet?
is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. But I know they want it here. I mean, Google helped them design their social credit system over there, and for a fact they want to roll it out here. And one of the only things preventing it is the Second Amendment, and they're working really hard to get us to want to give that up. So don't do it, people.
Well, and you got the people on the left who are just absolutely brain dead. They
Oh, yeah.
they go along with Fauci. They go along with anything that the government institution. They claim to be the opposition to the government, but they really just hate Trump. Which at
Yeah.
this point, I mean, I can't really argue with that. But
Yeah.
they want.
I mean,
they're going after him now. It's like, go ahead. He's proven to be, that he's just part of it.
yeah.
But it's crazy though. To me, they'll go along with anything the government tells them. If the government tells you to take off your clothes and go run and get in a cage and get taken to a camp, they'll do it.
Yeah.
I mean, they are that stupid. They are really that stupid. But then they want to argue and fight over a policeman, asking them what they're doing out, running around in 3 in the morning.
Yeah. They think
know.
that it's so weird. They think that they're anti-establishment, but they
But
are
they are the
the most aligned with establishment. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's crazy. It's like mass Stockholm syndrome,
Mhm.
See how well
Um,
communist mind manipulation works?
How well what?
Communist mind manipulation works?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I got one of them to admit the other day online that it's leftism is just Marxism.
Most of them will just come out and say that. They were like, well, what's a better system? They'll say dumb shit like that.
Mhm.
They will literally argue with me and they'll be like, well, communism's better than Nazism. How about no-ism? That would be the best. None of
Yeah.
that stuff. How about we just,
How about liberty? How about liberty?
yeah, how
That'd be
about
good.
freedom and doing morality? But they don't believe in morality either. When you have people, this is the problem. When you have people who don't believe in God, they hate Christ.
Mhm.
I was reading earlier today, the founder of the guy that's credited with creating porn. Of course, he's one of those people.
Mhm.
And he says he did it because he hates God. He hates Christ. He said he did it. He
Wow.
created it to destroy Christianity. Like he says
Wow.
that. I mean, it's a whole thing. I don't want to get into it on here. I'll talk more about it on Random Files on Saturday. On
Yeah,
Rumble.
you should. That's
But
crazy.
he's one of the people from the 6-pointed people, and
Yeah.
he literally says that. He says, "I am," he says what he is, and he says, "And I hate Christians. I hate Christ," and he says, "I hate all of this."
He's
like,
probably one of these ultra wealthy people that's going and attending ceremonies and, eating little ones and all kinds of crazy stuff. If he's that vehemently against goodness
Yeah.
that he wants to destroy humanity through those means,
They're
probably
all
one of
like
those.
that. Whether
Yeah.
now the question is whether they'll admit it or not.
Yeah, it's
But they are
shocking that
all
he
like
would
that.
admit that.
They don't care. Look at Finkelstein. Like
I
people
was
say,
just
well,
gonna say
Finkelstein
that,
was the one
yeah.
that came out and said it on an interview. And
Yeah.
people were like, well, the guy that interviewed him was a white supremacist or whatever. He was a Christian nationalist or whatever.
Okay. Who?
Bottom line is he still came out and said it. But he
Yeah.
said on there, he said
Mhm.
most of his people will not admit this, but their God is Lucifer.
Yeah. And
He said that.
he said, I can tell you all this because
Nobody's
these
going to
people are
believe
dumb
it.
and they're not going to believe it.
And I know a bunch of people in my day-to-day life, they're just like, oh, our God's people, and they'll just fight you, and they are the most rabid right-wingers too,
it's
but they'll
crazy.
go fight another war for them. They will.
Yeah. it's crazy.
These people created World War I and World War II, and now they're doing World War III, and these dummies are lining up to go die for them. And you can't You cannot change them. You try to tell them, and they're just like, oh no. And even if you point out in the Bible, look, this is what it says. They said, no, the Bible says something else because my preacher, who gets paid by him, he says that it doesn't say that. And I'm like, it's right there.
Yeah.
It's right there. But you know what they've done now? They've created different Bibles so that they can read from the one that gives it the best interpretation of what they want.
It's so frustrating.
And then some of these people believe that they are going to force Jesus to return. These evangelicals, they believe this. They think that they're going to make God do something. I mean, it's crazy. These people are fanatics. There are two things that are the biggest plague on the earth right now. One is I don't want to say it on YouTube. It's like they don't like dogs and they follow the prophet, those guys. And then there's the communists. And both of those are golems created by this other people that have the six-sided star. Those people with the bed sheets are basically, their religion was created by them. They admit it. They say it. They're like, well, yeah, we created it. And then they have Wahhabism, which is just an extreme form of it. They actually, and that's Saudi Arabia. And now they're become the scapegoat. Oh, Saudi Arabia. Even people going around saying Saudi Arabia owns Hollywood. Like,
what?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You haven't heard Alex? Alex used to say that stupid shit. Not joking. I know him. He was always saying, go look it up. Just look up Alex saying it. He said that, Saudi Arabia owns Hollywood. He was saying that about 10 years ago because he had not come to grips with.
I'm just shocked anybody wouldn't know who actually owns Hollywood. Like even people that aren't
now
vehement about that. But yeah. Well, even 10 years ago, I figured that was kind of common knowledge. But
let me see if I can look it up, man. I can probably find
especially
it.
for someone like him.
Oh yeah. He claimed that. Let me type in these words and see if we get it from the.
It's weird too because he did that whole thing with Candace where he was like, "I'm declaring war on Candace Owens" and all this stuff. And then after the debate with Andrew Wilson, he was like totally supporting her and saying she did a great job.
He's done an about face.
Yeah, I'm like, what
gets me though is one of my really good friends, dude. He is so ridiculous. Like, he called me up one day and he's just like, I've been talking to him 30 years about this stuff, and he had some epiphany a couple of years ago. Dude, Germany, blah blah blah. Oh my gosh! And I'm like, dude, shut up, dude. I was like, it made me so. I got so mad on the phone with him. I was listening to him tell me parrot back stuff that I had told him in the late 90s, and I was like, I said, dude, I gotta go. Enjoy your little rabbit hole. Yeah. And then he's like, are you mad? I was like, and finally I just told him. I was like walking around the grocery store. I was texting him back. I said, dude, yes, I am. I'm pissed off. Because you call me and you act like you're teaching me something that I've been telling you for 30 freaking years. You're a hard-headed ass dude. You're just now figuring it out. After you ignored me or at best, and then at worst, you ridiculed me. It almost made me beat your ass in front of people.
And then doesn't have the self-awareness to realize everything he's telling you've already told him.
Yeah, zero memory.
It's annoying.
Here it is right here. Alex Jones once claimed that Saudi Arabians and other oil-rich Middle Eastern nations were major owners of the global stock market and media companies like Fox, which he loosely tied into a rant where he also alleged Arab ownership and control over Hollywood. He later tried to walk back or re-explain the remarks, claiming his words were taken out of context. It's right there.
Yeah, I believe you.
This is crazy because I remember him doing that, and he used to say dumb shit like that. And I was like, dude, shut up. I mean, that's not, and I never had the platform he did, and I didn't try to. I didn't want that smoke that he was getting into. And I remember, though, the reason he was able, and this is my opinion, and the reason he was able to rise as far as he did was because he was saying shit like that. Because if you were really going after you were tackling the true culprits, the real problem, how hard is it going to be? It's going to be insurmountable. It's very hard to tackle that hill. And then now they've merged our militaries. They did it. Yeah. So what do you think is going to happen now? So we have to sit here and go, okay, I mean, it's game over. I mean, but you still have to do your part to try to wake everybody up to say, look, Why do you think that these Islamists are all over your streets? Who's bringing them in? Oh, the liberals. These liberals can't get together and change a freaking light bulb, dude. They cannot. They are the dumbest people. They're lemmings, dude. They have nothing, dude. This isn't liberals. Yes, okay, you can say technically it is libtard politicians that are doing it, but who is ultimately behind it? And when you try to tell people, they're, like I said, but they can't. They're the dude from Don't Be a Menace, with the cheeseburgers. They're just cracked out of their mind. Their mind is cooked. And when you try to tell them, look, you and all of us are going to be trampled underfoot. Now, the big question I get from right-wingers when they push back is, well, they're fighting them over there in the Middle East. Why would they want them over here? Think about it, dude. When you're a parasite, when you're parasitic, you eventually kill your host. When you are doing what they're doing and you are anti-Christal, when you don't have Christ and you are against Christ, and everything about it is attack Jesus and his followers, attack Jesus and his followers. Islam is there and it's an annoyance, but it's not the main target. We are. And Europe, which this is the reason why everybody wonders why, because Christian Europe was the foundation, the pillars that Christianity was laid upon. So they are focused on tearing out the guts and destroying Christian nations, Christianity, going after Christ's people. That's why they do what they do. Think about this. 12 years ago, it was 46% Palestinians were Christian. It's now 17%. I think it's lower than that even. I think it's like 13. But there's a reason for that.
Egypt used to be a Christian nation.
So hold that thought. So before we get off track here, yes, but here's the thing. They have targeted and marked the Palestinian Christians to the point where the Palestinian Christians left, and then they created a narrative that it was Islam that was killing them. It wasn't. The Islamic people were not killing the Christians. Israel was. They were targeting them, and they said, oh, well, they had all these different excuses. Why did we blow up the Church of the Nativity? Why did we do this? Why did we do that? Why did we blow up the Catholic, why did we blow up this Orthodox, whatever? They said that the reason is because the Islamic people, they blamed them, and then the Christians were like, no, it was them. Then they were like, okay, well, we did it because they were hiding in those places. And the Christians were like, no. Like, they were using them as shields. No, dude. It's lies. It's all lies. And when I cringe every time somebody goes, oh, well, Muslims, whatever, the people in the tiny hats, they don't blow themselves up or whatever. They don't have to. They don't have to do that. And they have apps on their phone where they can scan you, and it'll tell them everything they need to know about you. They'll look up your history, everything. But I'm telling you, they have an app on their phones. These agents, they come over here and they pretend to be kids working in the mall and shit like that. They're not who you think they are.
Yeah.
Don't mess with them, dude. I'm telling you, because they are all trained. I'm telling you. And they're dangerous. I mean, these people, because to me, communism is easy. That's the low-hanging fruit for the right-winger. Muslims, that's the low-hanging fruit for the right-winger. You're like, oh, damn mosque. Yeah, of course. That's obvious that it's a freaking problem. Dearborn, Michigan, I was shocked. I saw a white girl the other day on just on there TikToking about a cheeseburger. And I was like, wow. I'm surprised there's anybody that's non-Islamic there. Is there even? I mean,
yeah.
But if you think for 1 minute that these people aren't the ones behind it, you're out of your freaking mind. You're not understanding. You're not reckoning the number of the beast. You're not understanding who it is. You're not grasping it. Now you have, I'm positive of this, you have Islamic terror cells probably everywhere. I mean, it's, who let them slip in? Who let them take over Canada? Who let them take over the United States? Who let them in? They're pouring in over the border during the Biden administration by the millions, probably. The southern border, they were blending in with Hispanics. I can look at a Hispanic person and I can look at an Islamic person, Arab, whatever, it doesn't matter what. I can tell you where they're from. I can tell you what, I can look at them. I can tell by looking at them. Our border patrol agents should have been given that same class. This was one thing for a Mexican to come from Mexico and cross the border. It's another for these people to come over here who hate us, who are here to do destruction. And these rabbis that joke about it. There's one that's like talking about Spain. I hate the way he talks. He's a big fat dude. There's a meme going around. He's always saying stuff. He says, the Arab was going to skewer the Spaniards. He's this fat little guy's little tiny hat on his head. He's bragging about how they have sicked the Arabs into these countries to destroy them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He knows that this is going to happen. He knows it. And then at the same time, they're using this terror technology, this technological terrorism that they're unleashing upon us to control us. And we are so busy fighting the symptoms that we will never get to them because their Gollum communism and their Gollum, I'll just say it, Islam, they have hamstrung us. We're going to be fighting these wars forever. We've been fighting with Islam since the 600s and fighting with communism since the turn of the century. Not this century, the century before. It's never going to end. They just keep. The problem is this, folks. You think that you're going to kill your way out of this, like some of these right wingers. We're going to go to war. I got these bullets. You will never do that. You could start killing communists from now until 36, 36. It never will end. You could do the same with Islamic insurgents. It will never end. It's a conveyor belt. It's a never-ending chocolate factory. You will not end. They just will keep making them. They replicate themselves. They created a replicating golem on both fronts. And they sit back and organ grind. That's all they do. They don't fight. You know, they'll surgically go in and kill people that they need to deal with, whatever. They don't do it like you think they do. And so we will sit here and we will argue till Christ returns about the issue and how we solve it. You don't. You will have something that grows on you, a fungus, a mole, a wart, I don't know, whatever it is. And they until they burn out the roots, it just keeps growing back. You can cut it and cut it and cut it all day. It's not going to stop. It's a sad thing. And then when you see these people that are just so damn stupid and blind, I am now to the point where I just don't have any patience for them anymore. I can't deal with them. I can't wait for people to catch up. You know, swim into the deep water, for God's sakes, join us in reality. But they don't. They won't. And so I cringe when everybody says, it's this and that, it's this and it's that. Yeah, you're naming a bunch of symptoms. It's homelessness and drug addicts and pride parades, and it's the Islamization, which is in communism. And it's easy to go down those rabbit holes and be like, I hate these people. But you shouldn't hate. You're not supposed to, right? But you hate communism. You hate the extremists. You hate all this. But the problem is not them.
Yeah, you haven't seen the bigger picture. People don't. They haven't. There's layers of waking up, obviously, and I'm not claiming to be so enlightened by any means, but you meet certain people and you can just tell they're not quite there yet. They don't understand. And when you try to explain to them the bigger picture, the overarching picture of what's going on, and these people really controlling the puppet strings of all of these little things they're complaining about, they just laugh at you and think you're crazy.
Yep.
Have you guys seen that latest video of Rabbi Shmuley? He is a despicable guy, dude. It's right here. Here he is, right here.
Years, we Jews have developed an insidious mental construct that we need to be loved. We need everyone to like us. Now, that would be nice. Machiavelli said 500 years ago in Florence that you should want to be loved and feared. But if you have to choose, and October 7th has forced us to choose, then you need to choose being feared over being loved.
Then he gets right there. He gets into calling out basically the assassinations, is what it sounds like, of Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, and even Roger Waters from Pink Floyd. You got to listen to the video. I can't play any more of it, but if you listen to it, he literally is saying this basically to go out and kill these people. I'm not joking. Check it out. I sent it to
Roger
you on. I sent it
Waters.
to. Oh, yeah, he says Roger Waters on the video. He says that Roger Waters has been a big critic of it, and he's galvanized people on the left to be, whatever. But the thing is, like at this point in the stage in the game, dude, if you have your head up your ass, go ahead and leave it there. I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
I
I've told
don't.
people online because they'll be like, why do you bother to still converse with these people online? And I say, well, I'm not really conversing with them because I know I'm not going to change their minds. You can identify certain personality types right away. And you're not going to get through to them. They're just going to bicker and argue. The only reason I leave those comments is just because I know there's silent eyes that will come across the conversation, and maybe one of those people will have more flexible thinking and will get something out of the discourse. I'm not really trying to convince the person I'm actually talking to on there. Unfortunately, you can't get through to certain people.
Like going into those Bigfoot groups and you fight with the people in there, and it's like, I'm just here. They ask me, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm here to learn and have your knowledge. Bigfoot redneck guy from the woods. I want to learn from you, Master Splinter.
Sensei.
Truth be said, I don't give a shit about that. I just want the stories. I want to, they say I stalk people in their groups. Yeah, sure, whatever. Are they saying that, or is that just you being mad because they don't give you their stories? Maybe you know how to talk to people and don't go, hey man, hey, Miss Lady Bitch, hey. Nobody's going to respond to that, dude. I mean, so I just say, hey, I send them a message, and if they respond, they respond. But right now, I'm also looking for stories from Delaware. I got to say this. I need Delaware, New Hampshire, Maryland, and
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. Thank you, Richard. I'm looking for stories for that. Nelly posted some stuff today for me because I need those stories because I got to finish up Bigfoot in 50 states. I still got some time. It's not urgent yet, but it will be. But yeah, anyways, that's it. I'm just so done with these people that don't have the sense God gave a wharf rat. I can't understand. It just blows my mind. You'll send them stuff and you can tell they don't even bother to look at it. One of my friends, he's a wrestling promoter, and he just will not listen.
No.
He's hung up on Islam, and he's hung up on these leftists and all this. And I said, dude, that's the kids' table, dude. Like, seriously, man, these people, they're not grasping it. I'm like, dude, if I was fighting a war, and say that I was, we were at war, we were going, I was going to say toe to toe, we see Tui, right? But anyways, if I was fighting a war, we were just throwing hands, whatever, and it was a stalemate, I would back off. And I'd figure out another way to get the job done. Maybe robots, automatons, and just flood it, just overwhelm them with the lemmings, right? If you were an evil king, like Richard said earlier, if he was an evil genius, right? And like Richard said, this is entertainment purposes only. Don't take anything I say on this show seriously. We are all crazy people, right?
Yeah.
So if you were inclined to be that way, I would just send everything at you and just sit back until you're overwhelmed. You remember on The Empire Strikes Back, one of the scenes I remember was when Luke, he got his ass kicked by his dad the first time. Vader just beat the hell out of him, right? And at one point, Vader just steps back and just starts like throwing stuff, like using the Force. And Luke's just swinging wildly at these boxes of shit that are flying at him. And he's just, by the time you're hitting the air, you're swinging at the air, it's over. I used to have this thing I would do whenever somebody could match me with, I have good hand speed. And that was one of the things my boxing students would always ask me about. I guess I have quick hands. How do I get fast? And I would tell them, well, you're either fast or you're not. I can teach you to be faster, but I can't teach you to be fast. You either have the hand speed or you don't. But I would show people, like in a street fight, it doesn't really come down to all that technical stuff because most people don't know. They're not doing the Philly shell, not bobbing and weaving. You'll occasionally run across somebody who's got the smoke. You'll fight a guy who can fight. He's trained. And if you're trained, you can beat them. And then a lot of times it just comes down to sheer athleticism, strength, and will. But that being said, there was this thing I did. I won 1 million fights like this. I would start throwing with them. If we got toe to toe and they were catching, same momentum, I would start slapping the hands. I would start knocking their hands down, roll over the top of them, and just punch them. And then I would start connecting in their face, and then they start doing this, and then their hands open up. But it's not the same. They're not slapping at my hands to stop it and then rolling. They're doing this, and then they're trying to grab, and then it's over.
Yeah.
The only thing left is the crying. And then when you feel that momentum shift and you start connecting in the bam, you feel that soft tissue of the face. Bam, bam, then you're like, okay, this is it. Sometimes it's real quick and brutal. And sometimes you got to chop it down like a tree because the guy's got a granite head or whatever. But either way, they go down, right? You feel that momentum. You know that's what it takes to win that fight. But then there's some people that just don't know how to fall down. That's when you got to kind of back up and readjust and maybe kick them in the shin, leg, whatever. Get your shin kick to the leg, take the leg out from under them, do something, maybe a quick back fist. If you got the momentum, take it. Because some people know a few tricks. They might know 3 or 4 or 5. Maybe a good fighter maybe knows 6 to 10 even. But most people are one-trick ponies. They don't really know what they're doing. They're just mad and they got some liquid courage or whatever. But when these people, when they fight, they don't fight the way we do. They know how we are. They know how we fight. They look through our own eyes. So they make exact copies of what can kill and destroy us. They know what works. They know how to use immigration. They know how to use our own licentiousness against us. Your lustfulness. They use porn. Desensitizes the brain to the point where people aren't even breeding with their wives anymore. They're just looking at their phone. This is a problem. These people are doing all of these, and they're coming at you with all these different angles.
Yeah, that's what, sorry to interject just briefly, but what frustrates me is when you try to explain this to people, they don't realize they're actively in a war, that there is literal warfare coming from all angles at them every day of their lives, and they're sitting there like lab rats, and they can't see the prison bars. They have no clue. It's like your food's being poisoned, the air's being poisoned, the water's being poisoned, your mind's being poisoned. There's all this propaganda, there's all the porn, there's all the corruption, there's all the demoralization, there's all these energy weapons, there's all these frequencies, there's all these subliminals, and they just laugh at you. They laugh in your face, and it's just so incredibly frustrating because you think to yourself, wow, you are actively being attacked every day of your life like a lab rat, and you have no idea. And then when somebody tries to warn you to set you free, you just laugh at them.
You see, Michael says statistics show the majority of SA committed by whites. Do you know why that is? Because statistically, what they've done is they've lumped Arabs, Hispanics, basically anyone who is not black. They have lumped them together with white people. And so now they've stacked the numbers.
Yep. On criminal reports, anyone Hispanic is listed as white.
Mm-hmm. They're white. Yeah. So therefore, that evens the numbers. I mean, and I'm not trying to be racial at all. I'm just being honest. This is how they do it. And they have lulled everybody into a false sense of security. But that tells you something about the people that are coming over here. If all of a sudden that is this true statistic and it's coming from the people that they label as white people, that's alarming, because that means that the people that are coming across are not good people. Sweden, we could get into the numbers on Sweden. In fact, Richard, when we go to Rumble on Saturday, you want to do some numbers? Look at some of the countries?
Sure.
Yeah. Bring the statistics and take a look at certain countries. Belgium, look at Sweden. It's in the West.
Mm-hmm.
So what I noticed last night, I was watching the X-Files movie, Brock Frankenstein, which was pretty good. But I noticed they made the evil bad guys Eastern Europeans. They were Czech and Russian, whatever. Why do you think they always pick the Eastern Europeans now to be the bad guys? Why does anybody think that? Why do you think that?
Because they want to demonize Russia.
They want to demonize Europe, period. But now they've gotten the West beat down and subdued. It's falling. The East is going to be the battlegrounds now, because they're not allowing the same problems that the West is. So now it's time to focus on these Czechs and Serbians and Russians and whatever, because they're a problem now, because they got to get rid of them. Because Spain, France, and Germany are being eaten alive by these locusts. England is fallen. And the tiny hats are rejoicing. They're rejoicing. Look at what the rabbis are saying. If you don't see it, then you got to have the retardation.
They're openly proud of it, and they say it on video. It's not like there isn't evidence of what their thinking patterns are regarding all of this and what their plans are.
Yep. And
100%.
Japan Tiger says Japan is next. Japan is having problems. I watched a
Yeah.
video the other day of them rolling these people in these big tortillas and putting them in their vans to get rid of them because they are having these Africans come over there and they are just going up and punching the Japanese people in the face in their town squares. In
Spain now, I just saw that they're literally dragging these poor young girls into the hillsides and the mountains and, wedding them after they let all these people in. And they're not, of course, reporting it in the mainstream news. It's police reports coming out about it, but the mainstream news won't talk about it. And remember, we have another channel that we set up. What, Richard?
Going to say they're not reporting the amount of it going on in Canada either, and there's a ton of it.
Yeah.
We have another channel, and it's Random Files on Rumble, and it talks about all this. So we talk about a lot of different stuff that we can't talk about here. Oh. So if that's why this channel, if they do something, so what? We just go to Rumble. That's where it's at anyway. But that's the thing. It's an uncomfortable truce. My mother is Hispanic and Native. And I am not a racist. I'm just a realist. And I see what's happening. And I've told people this before. I speak Spanish and I can just, talk Spanish. And they're like, oh, okay. I don't have to help. I don't have to be a nice guy if I don't want to be. There'll be something at first between me and whoever that is. But once I start talking their language and I know their culture because I'm from it, then they're all, oh, okay. Ah, yeah, amigo. And then then you're one of them and then you don't have to worry about the nightmare or whatever. But that's not me because I look at the true morality of the situation and I see it for what it is. I've dealt with it. I've dealt with racism and the bulk of it came from Hispanics because I grew up around them. I got messed with because when I was playing ball, I had a lot of black friends and the Hispanic people I grew up around, they were like, oh, you're hanging out with those mayates. That's the N word in Spanish. That's what they do. And then they gave me hell. And they would always, chastise me for being half white and whatever.
There's a lot of extreme.
Learned about that.
There's a lot of extreme racism, from what I understand, too, between the Hispanic and the black communities in a lot of areas. A lot. They really, really don't like each
My
other.
friend's sister went out with one, and they beat the crap out of him, and they were very cruel to her. And then they wanted my opinion on it. I'm like, dude, don't drag me into this. I'm a half breed.
Yeah.
But that's the truth. And there was some racism from white people because I grew up in the old South. Taylor, Anthony, you can attest to this. Is very racist.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Tell them about Taylor Cafe.
Yeah, so there's this. Well, it's not there anymore, but it was there for the longest time. It was a bar that was down on the south part of town. It was right there on the train tracks where they used to call it the line, because that was the dividing line in Taylor between like the black part of town and everyone else. The black and Hispanic part of town that was considered like the bad part of town. But Taylor Cafe was right there on the line, on the train tracks, and they, it was segregated. There was, you go in, walk into Taylor Cafe, and there was a sign up above the bar. It said, whites only over here and blacks only over here. Well, I remember when I was a kid, in the 90s and the early 2000s, going in there, and those signs are still there, but it wasn't even legally enforced, obviously, anymore. But people would still self-segregate. Like you'd go into Taylor Cafe, and all the black people would be on this side, and all the white and Hispanic people would be on the opposite side. So it was like really, it was like institutionalized segregation, to the point where it was so deeply entrenched in Taylor for such a long time that it just became a way of life, all the way up until like I said, the 90s and early 2000s, it was still a thing,
That's crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, there was a lot of especially like between Hispanic and white and white and black, like a lot of racial tension, back in the day in Taylor. It wasn't like if you watch some of these silly movies nowadays, that try to make it out like the racism is just everywhere, rampant. No, it was Taylor was kind of like that back in the day, but it was an example of like certain pockets of Central Texas, or that were still like strongholds for racial division.
And it was a cotton town.
Mm-hmm.
It was black land, the dirt, the black dirt. It was you could grow anything. I remember my grandfather always being friendly with not with all of them, but with some of the black and Hispanic people. And then I would see these white people that he knew, and he'd have to be like, oh yeah, and he'd have to act, whatever. And I was a kid, and I was like, why is he? Because I could tell he wasn't really that way. It was like a role or something. And he finally told me, he says, look, we were on a trip down to the border one time because my grandfather had a lot of friends in Mexico. This is my white grandfather. And I remember him telling me, he says, man, he's like, I have a lot of friends, and they're basically bandidos, down in the border. And my grandfather was buddies with them. And he said, I have to be a certain way. He said, the white people expect you to be a certain way. And they would always kind of look at me and kind of scowl. They knew that I was mixed. I didn't know what the hell. I just was a kid. And my grandfather was such a badass dude that everybody was afraid of him, but he still had to play that role. He would go to this black barbecue joint called Jackson's Barbecue right there in Thrall. And then we'd get in the truck and he'd be like, don't tell anybody we went in there. My dad goes there. He don't give a shit. He goes to the power plant and does his job. He don't give a shit. But it was a different generation. The boomers were different than that older generation. That older generation was still entrenched in that. And my grandpa was like looking around, like, this was all black people. And he didn't have a problem going in there and eating with the black people and doing whatever. He didn't care. But he had to be a certain way. Can somebody kick this Vixen person? Get out of our chat, okay? Don't like to drink milk. Why don't you eat shit? How about that? You can eat shit with your milk. This is a fake person just came in here and is talking about Anna looking hot, whatever.
I didn't even see it.
But here, so just Josh don't like to drink milk or something. Just go away. Okay, get rid of him. Full of shit, people. They're probably from Oklahoma. But so, anyways, this is the kind of world that he lived in, and I had to understand that. Because my godfather, my dad's best friend down in the valley, he was there. His dad and my grandfather were best friends. And so my grandfather, he had to play a role, though. I mean, if you're around white people, you have to be, put on that face. Unfortunately, there's people that still are that way. I don't run into that many racist white people, I'll be honest. But you still find pockets, like Anthony says, there's still pockets of it. There's certain places in Far East Texas you go to, and yeah, there are, like, I'm talking even 10 years ago, they were selling Ku Klux Klan T-shirts at the Viter. There was a bar there in Viter. You drive through Viter. I'm talking about 2015. This is not a long time ago. Last time I went through was like 2015. And there's a sign that says, it's a small sign right there, and it says, don't let the sun set on your black, it says that. I'm not joking. Very famous sign. People take pictures. I have pictures of it. I mean, I don't have them on phone because it wouldn't, but I have pictures of it, that sign, back in 2009 or something like that. I went there with my brother and Scorpion. Scorpion was scared, and we had a black friend with us, and I was teasing him. I stopped at that bar to use the restroom, and I said, come on in. I wanted to see their reaction. But that was silly, but I wanted to see these people's reaction just to see what they would do. Because I can walk in and pass as a white guy, and it was very uncomfortable. They had T-shirts up there, Ku Klux Klan T-shirts. They were black shirts, and they had, like, one was a Klan member. He was shooting a Tommy gun, and it said rat-a-tat-tat on your ass. They literally, wow. Yeah, I'm not even joking. And so
I wonder what their sales were like. I wonder if they were selling a lot of those.
Bunch of people in there. I don't know. I mean, but Viter, if you look up Viter, it is a very potent reminder of the past, of the way it was. But then you go to certain places, like there was this place called Hinojosa down. It's a little village down in Mexico, down near Monterrey. Well, it's not. That's the closest big city, but it's out in the middle of nowhere. And it's run by the Indios. So if I were to go there, which I didn't, but if I were to go there, according to my stepdad, they would try to lynch me because I'm white. I'm a güero. And you got to look like Anthony. You got to be that shade of brown because they don't want any huilillos there. Huilillo is a slang term for white person. It means white bread. So they don't want you there.
Racism is so stupid. We're all just souls I always just think of it as like drivers in cars, it's like people getting pissed off because you're a Chevrolet versus a Ford, it's like we're just souls and bodies. It's so stupid. Yeah, it's just such an unevolved backward way of thinking about things. It's hard for me to because of the way I think, it's hard for me to extricate how these people can even process reality that way. It's just very strange.
And what's funny too is my grandmother's Comanche. So I got Native and Hispanic or whatever. And some of our relatives are on like you see Anthony, some of them are dark like him and some of them are light like me. And some of us just look white. And these are like Anthony's mother. He looks like his dad, Anthony, like his build, everything. He looks like his dad.
Just like him.
But his dad is lighter skinned. But my sister, his mother, she's very light skinned. And when you look at some of my cousins, they're very light skinned. They're full blooded Hispanic. Well, they got that Native though. But when people hear me and Anthony talking, and this is my nephew, sometimes we'll speak Spanglish, then they're like, oh shit. They don't know. They think he's my IT guy or something. I tease Anthony like that. He gets mad and like, oh.
I mean, I technically am.
But I mean,
yeah, I was going to say he's my IT guy.
Well, because somebody said that we were literally at Best Buy Christmas before last, and a friend of mine was working there, and we used to work with this guy years ago. And he said, "Oh, what's up?" He's a Hispanic dude, so he thought it was funny. But there was a guy that was there from the whatever they sell the computers, and they. And I said, "This is my IT guy." He goes, "Oh, cool," and he thought Anthony was from India.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get a job at Tim Hortons like that, bro.
Tim Hortons. But I mean, and then my friend that was there, he was just like, what? Like, he goes, nah, dude, he's Hispanic. And the kid goes, oh, I'm sorry. So I was like, oh, it's okay.
Getting ideas now. The wheels are turning. Don't they typically do the whole dowry thing?
Yeah.
Indian people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You get like
some money here. Let's find an Indian girl.
There are very few.
Dowry and dip.
Yeah, you can yeah. There's
3 goats and a scooter.
Dude, some of these people have money, dude.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of them here in Cedar Park, and I'm friends with a few of them, and they have a lot of money. There's a guy that I'm good friends with, and so, but we ate dinner with him the other day, and he was telling us about all these different people that ripped him off, and I'm like, dude, stop doing business with your own people. Problem. He was just telling me all this stuff. He's a really cool guy. He's got a lot of land. He owns a lot of shit. And he just called me up the other day. He's like, hey, man, I just bought this gas station. What do you think of the spot? Go by that location. Tell me what you think. Because I was in Taylor's down the road. I said, okay. But, I mean, I can't just call somebody and go, hey, I just bought this gas station, dude. What do you think? Yeah. They come over here with money, dude. Some of them really are loaded. And they pool themselves together.
Yeah.
So they have a bunch of chickens out there that they have a huge chicken in one of their properties. And so I went out there with them, me and Anthony did, and it was hot as hell. We were out there in the middle of the day, and he was showing us the property. This is a huge, nice piece of property. Go to the top of the hill. It is beautiful. It's like a mesa. And so, but down at the bottom of the hill, there's a bunch of chickens there. And he had some guy in there working. I said, does this guy work for you? He goes, no, he's one of the families. What do you say? There were 6 of them?
Yeah.
That took care of the property, and they rotated. And so when it was whoever's turn to go, that family would send somebody to go and take care of the chickens. And then he would have his turn too. See, they're rich and they have a lot of money, but they're willing to get their hands dirty and do laborious work. A lot of people aren't willing to do that. That's a problem. Americans are like, you're going to pay me $28 an hour to go feed a chicken. It's like, that ain't going to work. I had people, young people in particular, tell me that they would never have a ranch like mine because they wouldn't want to have to take care of the animals and have chickens and take care of the chickens.
That's the fun part.
I said, what are you talking about? You got fresh meat and eggs. You have it's crazy. They just, they act like that's beneath them, or they won't work in the food industry. I was talking about a food truck, and I won't do that. Of course you won't, and you won't be successful. I busted my ass. I was a dishwasher. I bust tables. I waited on people. I dealt with the most shit. I was watching that Game of Thrones the other day, that with the gold cloaks and the white cloaks, and how they have to just stand there while these nobles talk, and then they're like, "Be gone." I was treated like that. You have to just stand there while these clients, you're just, you have to just deal with it, and they treat you like you're beneath them, like you're the help.
That's another thing I don't understand.
And walk off. You can't say anything. You can't do anything. It's a horrible way to be, but that's how they are.
There's even everyday people that they treat servers at restaurants or just any kind of service industry, individual retail employee, like they're some kind of literal servant. And I think to myself, wow, like imagine if this person actually had any power, any real power in life, or if they were a ruler back in ancient times, they would have been horrible. I just don't. It's another thing I don't understand about some people, like how they can possibly see another human being that's just working a job and think less of them. It's just another human being exactly like you. What is wrong with you people? That's a huge red flag for me if you're out to eat with somebody and they treat the waitstaff poorly. Red flag.
And it's stupid too, because they're going to spit in your food.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I've seen
I
it done.
prefer my food without spit. Oh yeah, they do. I mean, they'll do crazy stuff even if you are nice to them sometimes, but
yeah, I got at a Dave and Buster's, and I used to dip snuff, so I knew that's what it was. And there was a thing of sauce, and you could look at it and tell this person had been dipping snuff, and they had spit in it, and it was it was horrible.
Yuck. I watched the thing just the other day. I just stumbled across it on YouTube, and it was showing how many orders from food delivery services the people will just dip in and start eating out of it before they deliver it to you. There's like all this hidden footage of it, or they'll show up at the door, they'll put it at the door, they'll take a photo to show it was delivered, and then they'll take the food and leave and go eat it in their car.
Yeah, I saw one where this
I
guy
delivered it.
He threw the bag, and some of the fries came out. He goes, "Oh shit!" And then he puts the fries from the ground back into the bag.
Yeah. Yeah, it was gross. It made me not. I mean, I don't eat out very much at all, and I don't order food very often at all. But it made me never want to do it after watching that. It was so gross.
And what they do too, it is such a dangerous proposition, because they can fall back on, well, it wasn't me. It was Wendy's. It was Arby's. It was whatever.
Yeah,
it wasn't me. It was Carl's Jr. They did it. They're the ones that messed up your food. Don't blame me. You know, like Richard was telling me when he used to deliver like that, there were people dumb enough to get ice cream. Remember, Richard, you told me that, and you had to eat their ice cream because it was melting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Richard's like, I had to eat all their ice cream because it was melting. I couldn't let it go bad, dude. So I would get there with chocolate on my face, and I'd be licking my hands at the door and be like, "Look, I had to eat it. Order something else." I was like, "Wow."
That reminds me. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say the best trick is when there's like pieces of pizza, you eat two, and then you like sort of form the pizza back, and it's only like 10 pieces.
Okay, Chuck E. Cheese.
Never did that in my life, but I'm not going to lie. I worked as a pizza delivery driver for a couple of years off and on, and I was doing security and going to school, but I saw drivers do that. There was a guy who would eat a piece of pizza from every pizza. I kid you not. And he had Tourette's. And I'm not joking. I've talked about him before on the show. And he would cuss. He'd be like, "Oh," you'd be like, when you first work with the guy, you're like, you're making the boxes and stuff. And he's over there, shit. You're like, dude, when you first work with him, and Jamal, this guy, he was an Arab dude, actually. He was actually pretty cool. And he come and goes, man, he talked just like that. He said, man, he's got Tourette's, man. It's all cool. Okay. Nicest boss ever. And then I was like, oh, so me and my friend Greg, we were working there. This dude would scream. We're like, but there was a guy that was eating the pizza slices. We couldn't figure out who it was, and nobody wanted to point the finger at this guy because he's the disabled dude or whatever. And so finally, I told the manager, I said, it's him. He got him outside, and they were talking, and this guy got mad and cussed him out and drove off. Then he was back working a couple days later, and he was like, I won't do that anymore.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. About a week goes by, and we get a complaint. I answer the phone. Back then, you answered the phone, right? It was the internet. He answered the phone, and he's like, this woman's like, there's like pizza missing. And I'm like, that was like, I had my fill of this place at that point. I said, that's because we have a guy with Tourette's. She goes, yes, he cussed at me. He called me the B word and then walked off throwing his bag into the street. I said, yeah, because the bag is where the pizza's kept in, whatever. She's like, he threw it, hit my car.
Are you serious? Is this a real story? That's
no,
crazy.
yeah. That was not even, that's
crazy.
tame, dude. That's nothing. That's so tame. I had guys that did horrible things. I was working at the Hut. There was a guy who was the assistant manager. The day he quit, he urinated in the sauces.
Oh, gross.
And one of my
Ew.
coworkers, this guy was funny. He was a goofy little dude. He was like, hey, man, come here. You smell something weird in this sauce. And I leaned down like, dude, what is that? It was like 2 or 3 days of fermenting, whatever it was. It's like, I said, dude, that's ammonia, dude. And then I knew RJ, and so I was just like, I got off work at like 7 or 6 o'clock or something before the dinner rush because I'd been there all day. And the manager tells me, he says, you call your buddy. He's not my friend. I'm like, the guy hired me. I don't know. And I said, yeah. And he goes, and you tell him that I know he did something to the pizza sauce. We had to throw it all out. So I called him up. And I said, hey, the manager wanted to know. He goes, yeah, I peed in it. He straight up told me that. He goes, I don't give a crap. They can call the police. They can do whatever they want.
What's
And
wrong
he's
with
like,
people?
okay. He told me to tell him. I went to work the next day, and I told the manager's like counting the till, and he's like, what? I said, you already knew that, right? You said you knew. Well, now I know. No. And I'm like, okay, well, he said he didn't give a shit. He said, the F you and your fat ass. That's what he said. And he goes, well, you tell him. I said, I'm not making another call. You guys solve your domestic squabble. So I'm just a trooper. I'm not in charge. I'm a driver. You do what you got to do. I'm not going to fight with these people. I mean, the thing about it is it's going to taste weird, but it's not going to poison you because not that you would want this in any shape or form, but it goes through an oven of 1,000 degrees or whatever. It's going to kill anything. And urine technically is sterile too,
Yeah, it still makes me want to barf though. thinking
Oh,
about
it's
it.
so nasty. If you were to eat it though, the taste you'd probably throw up.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is it's not as serious as some of the things I've heard. Now I've heard stories. I've never seen this happen. This is just secondhand stuff. But there was a lady that gave me a story from the other show, and she was the manager. And she said that there was a person who had hepatitis who was putting blood. Yeah. When they would put the ketchup on there and they caught her doing it. Now, this is a person that gave me a story that said that happened. I have no way to confirm that. And I know the place that she says it happened for. It's a huge burger chain. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get sued, but yeah.
I apologize
food at
in
home,
advance.
folks.
Yeah, I apologize in advance for reminding everyone of this horrible case, but some of you might have heard about it. It turned into a criminal case, if I'm not mistaken. And this is probably the grossest of all the things I've heard. But it was a guy where for years at his place of work, he was doing something in the coffee pot every day.
Oh yeah,
everybody was drinking. Do you remember that? And it was it's
they
something that comes
videoed
out of,
him.
yeah, it's something that comes out of a man that is not urine. I'll just put it that way. And yeah, everybody was drinking it out of the coffee pot every day at his place of work.
Wow.
It's freaking horrible.
I just have no words. No words.
People are vindictive, mean, and nasty. I mean, and you don't know what you're eating. You don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, the main reason I don't eat out is just because like I have to have such a strict diet not to trigger like inflammatory flares with the autoimmune stuff I
Mhm.
deal with. But on top of that, this is another reason that I just am like, I don't even like to think about all the years we've all gone to restaurants or fast food and just thinking about like, I wonder what I've consumed that I had no idea. No
Well, there's
idea
that guy
what I
on
was eating.
TikTok now that was saying that he's on TikTok and Instagram, and he's saying that all of this food from this one particular large meat company, that a bunch of it's not animals. I mean, he was
Oh.
just saying it yesterday, and it was on Facebook, but it was from I think it was from Instagram, but it was saying it on Facebook, and I was like, God dang, man, there you go, laws over there. I don't know, man. There's some crazy
Not
stuff.
not animals as in like Soylent Green, is that what we're talking about here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like Richard
I'll
said, 49 states.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, Finkelstein made me never ever eat any McDonald's beef ever again. Not that I really ever eat there, but if I absolutely have to, I'm getting like a filet-o-fish or something. I'm not eating a
Well,
hamburger
that
from
video that
McDonald's.
Richard sent me about the Tim Hortons, and it showed the pit people. Remember that video? You sent us a video, Richard, about Tim Hortons. Do you remember that?
Yeah, Tim Hortons. Yeah, it's absolute cesspit now.
Yeah, it was horrible.
It's an
There were
absolute
people like blowing
nightmare.
boogers and all kinds of stuff in that. Show Anna what they do over there in Canada. Like it rivals anything we're doing down here. It's horrible.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, somebody said you can
Yeah.
buy Soylent Green at Walmart. Yeah, somebody cornered the market on that, and they went and they produced a shake or something that you can buy at stores called Soylent Green.
they do this stuff right in front of you, and everybody's just sitting there going like, "Oh, okay."
Exactly, man. It's satanic mockery, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they enjoy thinking about us consuming stuff like that because it's kind of like when they do the big concerts that everybody's sending all their energy to the stage and they're all like worshiping these performers and you're watching it going, you guys are literally participating in a satanic ceremony and you have no idea. Like all the symbolism's there, it's so obvious, all this stuff going on. They're telling you without telling you, and then you think about the amount of kind of psychic energy and this thunderous energy coming from the crowd going toward the stage. What a great way to harvest energy if you're going to conduct some kind of a ritual. And it's also idol worship. Like, sorry, but it just is. These people, they just are literally worshiping famous people, and it's really pretty sick. I mean, it's fine to enjoy performers, enjoy music, things like that, but people these days, they just take it to the next level where it's just straight up idol worship.
Well, they're called
That being
stars.
said, go ahead.
I was going to say they're called stars, and stars are fallen angels. So,
Yeah, stars. Yeah.
yeah.
You know, Parkinson's disease was probably developed by them using Kuru. You know, the like Creutzfeldt-Jakob's disease,
Yeah.
CJD.
I've heard a
But
lot
it's
of
the
all
disease people get from eating brains. Yeah, CJD is the actual Creutzfeldt-Jakob's disease. But I mean, let's be honest, that's what Kuru is. And if you notice some of these celebrities, you know, the ones that have been accused of it, and then they look old and they're all, dude, did you see Hillary going? Like, you know,
Yeah.
blinking out. Like, I mean,
And then
it's
when
from
they
eating
threw her
people's
in the
brains.
van when she just like collapsed and they threw her
Yeah.
in the van on film. Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy when you see all of this stuff going on. And so we're going to be doing, starting in September, we're going to have True Crime Paranormal. Anna and Richard are going to be there too. We're going to be doing that on Rumble. And Anthony, him, myself, Nellie, and Tony are going to be going to different places. And we're going to sit down and eat at these restaurants, and we're going to do a food vlog, I guess it was called. Isn't that what it's called? A vlog?
Yeah.
You're going to video log it. So we're going to go to these different barbecue places and different Mexican restaurants and places like that. And we're going to sit down and we're going to try the food and we're going to talk about it. And it's going to be funny and it's going to be good. And we're going to show you, hey, we tried this and this is what we think of it. So if you come to Texas, you'll have that. And we're going to go and try a bunch of different types. Italian food, German food, just different places. Barbecue, everybody's always arguing which one's the best. You know, we'll see. So that's what we're working on starting in September. And then we want to get the ranch going where we have the animals on video But my friend's got a
That's
bunch
cool.
of people in front of us to set the cameras up. But that's all coming up September and in October. But thank you, everybody. In October, we got something planned at PRT. We're going to try and do some investigations of some different places. Hopefully, it won't be so hot that we go outside and we melt and our eyeballs pop out and we look like the people from Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know, because that's what it feels like when you go outside. It was like 102 something, 3 something today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
was
it was
horrible.
super hot here too.
It's going to be 102, 103 all for like a week straight.
How hot was it up there, Anna?
I don't know. I didn't check, but I stepped outside and that was enough for me to go. I think I want to stay inside in the air conditioning today. It was really hot.
How hot is it up there, Richard?
I had a sweatshirt on until about 11 a.m. this morning.
What?
Jeez.
Yeah, it's cold as hell.
So it's cold up there?
Sorry?
It's cold?
Yeah, it's probably about 10 degrees centigrade out right now. I got
Oh,
my
shit,
window.
Okay, so how much does it cost to go on a trip to Canada for a few days? Let's see.
Yeah.
We might need to go visit you. We'll do the show
Yeah.
from your house there.
Yeah,
That'd be
we'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still want to do a live investigation like with you and Nelly and stuff too. We talked about that before. That'd be fun if
Well,
I
you got to come
come out
down,
there.
and we can't
if I
get
come
Richard
out
to
there
come
with
down. He
you and-
loves living in that shithole where he's at. He's like, I'm gonna come down. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
we
I'm
gotta-
gonna stay in this shithole. I
We
like
got to
it.
set
over
up
here.
a whole group powwow, all hang out.
Well, he says he doesn't have enough money to move up and move. We need to do a fundraiser on the show. Get you $1,000
there you
bucks or
go.
something, and then you can
Get-
take it and come down there and start over.
Get you the hell out of crazy liberal Canada.
Yeah.
In reality, he can't get a passport. He's like blacklisted.
Because of all his nutty things he says.
That might be enough.
What's
That
up,
might
Mike
be-
Turner?
Well, I hope not, but several of my friends who are close to me were, so I guess we'll find out soon enough.
Oh,
There.
really?
Maddie says Wolf will be in front of DR's fire. I'll be in front of your fireplace.
Sure, you're welcome.
I'll do the host show in Churchill's voice. But this time, stand that guy.
Holding a brandy with a cigar in front of the
We're
fire.
fighting it out. We're fighting the landing ground.
And by we, I mean your sons and daughters, not me. I'm going to sit here and sip brandy and smoke cigars.
Yeah, and then we'll talk about how great the world is without those bad guys for the next however long. And then you're like, oh, hold on.
Yeah.
I guess it's not so great. Things didn't work out the way they're supposed to. But if you notice it, then you're a bad guy. You're
Boy,
a
they
racist.
sure they had to turn an economy around, didn't they?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, guys, we'll see you guys on Saturday. Random Files on Rumble. But tomorrow night, if you're a paratrooper and you know, we're going to do a show tomorrow night. It's Friday, I know. But we're going to do it because we have a lot of material. We have a lot of ghost stuff to talk about. So I have another show planned for tomorrow night. It's going to be free. It's not going to be on the members like it was tonight. So tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, right? Yep, 8 o'clock
8 o'clock.
tomorrow night. And then Saturday is 9 o'clock, right? We're doing 9 p.m. because it's Saturday, right? And so that's the Random Files, the real Random Files on Rumble. Not that this is not the real Random Files. This is just a little more toned down.
Mhm.
We can't say everything we say on the real Random Files. Thank you for that, Mike Turner. So everybody, we'll see you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to my co-hosts, Anna and Richard. And for the record, me and Richard are really good friends. We just play. I guess I was playing a little too rough tonight, and
Get
Jet-
out of here. Whatever.
Jet Zoo got on me. They were like, "You leave him alone. He, he lives
you
behind Tim Hortons.
You don't mess with my fans. My
He already
fans are-
lives in a dumpster. Be nice.
He's Oscar the Grouch from Canada. He's already angry. Look at the guy. He's like, no, Richard. Sorry.
When I was a kid, I used to think that Oscar had some underground network that he kept all that stuff in.
You
I
would.
didn't realize that he just went to the trash can and was able to fit like an entire elephant in that trash can.
Well,
See,
me
you
and
were
Richard,
already thinking this way even as a kid. You're like, oh, there's underground tunnels down there.
well, you and Nelly and Maddie and everybody were talking the other night. It was like in Rain, I guess, everybody on that thread about how weird y'all were when y'all were kids. And I was like thinking, I'm glad I'm not like that. I just thought that the shark was going to come out of the magic door in the swimming pool.
Yeah, we all did.
I was a weird kid too.
Yeah, I was weird too. My dad would always be like, "You're so weird. Why do you think weird things like that?" And I'm like, well, because we're out in the middle of the country, we're driving home, or I was driving him home because sometimes he'd go to the bar. I was 11 years old. He gave me the keys. I'm driving a stick shift, driving him out in the middle of the country. It's just that generation. It's how they were. It was like, my dad gave me the keys when I was 11. You're a man now. I'm going to sleep. Get us home, So I'd be driving down this gravel road and I would look up and I saw a shooting star one time and I said, oh, a UFO. It wasn't a UFO. It was a shooting star. And my dad was like looking up at the sky. I thought he was asleep, but I said it out loud. He goes, you're a dumbass. That's a shooting star. Why do you think things like that?
You're a deep thinker.
So I told my dad, I said, well, what if we got abducted by aliens? Or anything? Well, that would really suck. I heard what they do to people's buttholes. And he went back. And I was just like driving. I'm like, okay. So then later on, my dad and mom were separated. They were mad at each other. And she's like, did your dad say anything? She's always grilling me like the commissars, I'd be like, so I think it's something he said and just make it funny because it was. I'd be like, well, we were driving home the other day and he was mean to me. And my mom was giving me something, ice cream or something I wanted. What did he say? Well, he said that the aliens are going to do something to our buttholes. It was going to suck. And my mom was like, really? What? Why? Why did he say that? I don't know. He was drunk and I had to drive him. Boy, my mom took that. You have your son driving you home. You make me sick, blah, blah, blah. And then my dad picks me up on the weekend. He's like, you going to snitch on me again? I'm like, no. So then we go to Randy's Ice House, and I'm like, oh, we're going to the bar. Oh, the Oilers are playing tonight. They're playing the Steelers. Why are you? I'm not there to get drunk. I just want to hang out and watch the game. Why are you making a deal out of it? Okay, look, all right, I'm going to give you $20 allowance. Okay, I'm not going to say anything. Go back on the Monday. My mom's waiting for the information. What did he say? Did he do anything bad? What did he do? No, well, he was great. We had fun. Later on, we're at the HEB and I'm buying a bunch of candy and baseball cards. Where did you get that money? Where did you get $40? And believe this, if you want to believe it or not. I tell my mom, I stole it from Dad. Oh, okay, good. Yeah. Just take it. Next time, get more. Take his money. I hate him. You can't even tell the truth. Can't even tell the truth. Like, oh no, I got it because I was blackmailing my dad. It was, can't. I was going to say, oh, I stole it from him. But then later, my mom's sister, my aunt, we were watching X-Files, and she was like, did you really steal money from your dad? She was more, about stuff. She was like, did you really steal something? I was like, no. He gave it to me. He went to Randy's Ice House. And he was with, Anthony's dad. He was always over there. And Anthony's dad was always like, he was, he's in between the age of me and my dad, right? So we're outside, and I always looked up to his dad. His dad was like, hey, you don't tell your sister on me either. And I'm like, well, my dad gave me $20. And he's like, you little shit. Here's 10. That's all I got. You can't take anything else because I won't be able to get another round. I'm like, okay, cool. I won't say anything. It's awesome. You go to the bar, give me some quarters. I'm feeling ritzy. I'm going to play some pinballs. Yep, it was great, dude. It was awesome. You got and then I started figuring out whose mom and sister and everybody was in there. Who is this? Oh, does your wife know you're in here? Huh, Joe? No. Why? God, she's just, yeah. Sure she does. I won't say anything. I sure am hungry. I'd like some onion rings. I don't know. That's how you do it, man. And they'd be like, okay, yeah, get this kid some onion rings. You want some tater tots? Whatever. Because he's got some girl on his lap and he's doing who knows what. And Randy's Ice House that's where you get I learned at an early age. I clean up in there. I played pinball and video games all night long, chewing up gum, having fun. It was great. You had the other barfly people in there with their kids. But my dad wasn't one of those. He was always like, I only go in there on the weekend. I don't go when I'm off. I don't go in there every day like those losers. He's like telling me about it on the way home. I'm like, sure, that's why I'm driving you home. I'm 11. Yeah. I'm 11, but it runs in the family. My friend called me up. He's my cousin and my friend. He calls me up, and they were out hog hunting a couple years ago. His son was like 11 years old, dude, 11 or 12. And he calls me up and he's like, hey, man, yeah, he was telling me about stuff. And my wife's sitting next to me on the bed. She's looking at her phone. And my cousin's like, yeah, we just killed a couple hogs. Check out this picture. I posted it on Facebook. It was a few years ago. Right? His son's like a teenager now. And my wife is like, how old is this kid? I said, he's like 11 or 12. And she's like, he's out there driving him home from the hog ranch? Because he had a ranch where they go shoot hogs. I said, yeah. And I said, look, we Turners, that's why you have kids, so they can drive you drunk. That's what you do. She's just like, I don't understand that. She goes, I had to do it too. She said that. She said, I had to do it too with my dad. But I thought I was the only one. I said, well, apparently the whole generation was doing that. Just
I have
being
I have
irresponsible.
heard that before, especially for some reason from people from Texas that I've met in
My
that
wife is from
generation that did
California.
that. Really?
hmm
Yeah.
She lived up on a
Well, my
mountain
uncle-
out in the middle of nowhere.
My uncles were out on a booze cruise one time when I was like 7, and they let me drive.
Oh my God. See? That older generation is jacked, dude. They're just like, oh, well, it didn't kill me. We played with uranium. They
I
couldn't
ate
eat it. It was
mercury.
delicious. Yeah. And then you always have the Vietnam vet, my uncle, 2 of them, one on my dad's side and one on my mom's side. And both of them, they would just sit there and stare. And my uncle would go up to the attic and stare. I'd go up there and I'd be like, what are you looking at? And he goes, Uncle Frank. You know Uncle Frank. He's deceased now, but he was a great guy. But he's like, I could see a man coming from 1,000 yards out there. So you're like, okay, well, my mom said the potatoes are done. You want to come down? And he's like, he grabs me. He's like, you ever had to rub your best friend's guts off your face to see where you're going? I'm like, no, dude. Mashed potatoes. I got to go. You don't go up to the attic anymore with Uncle Frank because he's like, and my dad, he's like union guy, goes to work, whatever, blue collar. So my dad is like, Uncle Frank is weird. He goes, he's a Vietnam vet. He served our country. We'd all be communists. And I'm like, well, now I'm looking back going, well, ain't that what you are? You're in the union. I don't know.
Yeah.
And my dad's like, freaking Reagan. It's not even Reagan's fault. But my dad had a point, though. He said the mental health facilities that needed to help Uncle Frank were gone because of Reagan. And I said, okay. So that's why he grabs my arm and tells me that, something about his best friend's guts and whatever. And my mom would always tell me, she'd be like, Mijo, go get Uncle Frank. I'd be like, we had cell phones back then. You'd just be like, Uncle Frank, come down.
Just text him.
I would go to the edge of the stairs and yell, and my mom would be like, you're so lazy. I'm not lazy. He's crazy. I don't want to go up there and, because he's having flashbacks, whatever the hell's going on. You don't want to do that. This guy's liable to be platoon or something. Dude, you know what's going on. I don't know. He's really like that. And then he got older and he mellowed out some. But I remember Thanksgiving maybe 12 years ago, probably. I was walking up and I'm like, hey, Uncle Frank. And he was sitting out there smoking a cigarette. He looks very native. He's got the long hair and he's just sitting there. And he's like, yeah. Happy Thanksgiving. He's staring off into space. I'm standing with my brother and Scorpion and Anthony and everybody. We're like, okay, well, big gulps, huh? And you just walk inside because whatever happened to him, 2 tours of Vietnam will make you different.
Yeah.
And my dad's half brother, he was weird. He was living in New Mexico. We went out there one time and he's just like, I chop a lot of firewood. And I'm like, okay. He hands me the axe. I don't know how to do this shit. I'm a little kid, like 7. I'm like, okay. I put the log on there and I've seen it on TV maybe. And I miss. And he's like, you ain't doing that right at all. I'm like, because I don't know what the shit I'm doing. We don't have a fireplace, dude. What is this? Little house on the prairie? I don't know what this guy's like, well, don't you live on the farm? I said, yeah, well, we have animals. But we don't have a fireplace that we use. I'm not allowed to. But you're a sissy. And he starts telling my dad, he's like, why do you let this kid, he don't even know how to chop firewood. My dad's like, because we're not in the apocalypse yet. It's sorry, didn't get around to teaching him that. But these are people that come from that generation. And so obviously their kids had problems with them. They did. And one of my uncles, I'm not going to say which one, had a son out in California he's my cousin. And my mom even said before she died, she wanted to find him because he just left his son. He didn't, that's how they are. Their generation is just that way, man. And you just kind of get used to it. And you're like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with these people? But their parents were thrown off, dude. Like their parents were, my grandparents were whack, dude. I mean, they did not, it was just crazy. It wasn't super happy fun time. They were just, so that generation had the drugs that were frying their brains that were first coming in. The old generation didn't have that. And that old generation
CIA.
looked at them like, yeah, it was a CIA. And the older generation was like, dude, these kids are whacked out. And then that created their generation to make us, which are latchkey kids. They're latchkey. So you grow up, there's really not a lot of parental guidance around. And so it made you tough. I'd be out there and riding my bike, getting into fights and doing all kinds of crap, building tree houses. You say that, but you never build one. You just take wood and line it up, and you don't know how to, you just make a mess. That's what we did. And so my dad was cool. He took my sister's friend's dad, and my dad went out into the woods with us, and they built a treehouse for us. And I figured it out. They just wanted us to be out there in the woods, not around them, so they could drink and watch baseball and football, whatever. The neighborhood dads just sit there and watch sports and shit and talk shit about everybody. And I remember like being there bugging my dad because I wanted to go to the store and get some baseball cards. I was obsessed with baseball cards. And I was like, can I get some baseball cards? And my dad's like, you got 1 million of them. I want some money. The other dads start pulling out money too to just give you so you'll go away. And they'll just be like, here, take my son with you. I'll go ride. The store's across the highway. Be careful. Many kids have died on that highway riding their bikes. Should I do this? Absolutely.
I got these baseball cards, man.
and then during Halloween, my mom recruited my sisters to check my candy because you remember the Satanic Panic in '85, whatever it was. And my mom's like, drives around, and I had the biggest bag of candy, dude. I took that year. I took a bag. So one of my friends, Ronnie, I was friends with for years. He says, dude, if you want to get more candy, get a pillowcase. Don't get that little bag that you took last year. And I was like, really?
Okay.
So I was like, so I went and got my mom's pillowcase. She had those from the king size bed. I got the pillowcase. It was big, dude. And he goes, the bigger your bag, like it looks like you have less. That's the thinking, right? So me and him and my friend Matt and Art, we all went and we were in his mom's car that year. And he's like, we go up to the door. We all had the pillowcases and we're like, trick or treat. And these people were put like some candy in there. And my friend stood there. Like you gave them one handful. And then they gave them more. And I was like, I turned around. I was like, what? You can do that? He goes, yeah, dude, just stand there. Like you still want more. And I was like, oh, that is freaking brilliant. So I started doing. So, dude, I came home with all this candy and my mother broke my heart, dude. She's like, no, pendejo, don't start eating that. No. I'm like, what? I was like, she goes, no. We got to check it. They put in razor blades and everything. I'm like, what? Who's doing this? They're poisoning everything from the Tylenol to the mangoes. Everybody's poisoned. It's everything. So I remember sitting there and she turns over these two vultures, his mom and my other sister. They come in, they're like, this guy, we got to check your candy. There's no razor blades in this. And I was like, Mom, I was freaking out, dude. I was losing my mind. And she had gone to this freaking party thing, dude. And I was like, what in the hell? I was like calling my friend's mom. I was like, do you know where my mom is? The next day she was mad. She's like, she was a manager at Walmart. My mom was like, how could you call the whole town looking for me and tell them I was at a party? And I was like, because you were. And half of my candy is gone. I was so mad. I stood my ground on that one until I got slapped out of my boots. But my mom was like, what is wrong with you? I said, look at my candy. I stood my ground. I was like, it's gone. Half of it is gone. I had a whole pillowcase. And she said, oh, yeah, you used one of my pillowcases. Well, it worked. I said, and now my candy is gone. And my dad comes out. And my dad had these two false teeth. When he comes out and his hair is up on one side, got the cowlick, his teeth aren't in. That's when you knew you're in trouble. He's like, what? I got to work. What is this? what is this shit that's going on? Give him some care. My mom's like, no. And she's like, can you stop back talking me? And my dad's like, don't back talk your mom. And I'm like, so I pled my case to my dad. I was grabbing him. I was like, Dad, they took my candy. It's all I got in this world is candy and cards. And that's it. They took it. And my dad turns around and he's like, well, where is it at? I know they ate half of it. So that day was like an explosion, right? He goes in their rooms. Where is this candy at? I was thinking about it all day at school. I was pissed off. I was mad. And he goes under the bed. They had shoved all of this candy up under the bed, but they had gone trick-or-treating too. They're those bigger kids that you're not supposed to be doing it, but they're still doing it, and they're wearing a mask. So my dad hijacked all of the candy, all of it. And then he made us all divide it up equally. And I said, what is this? This is bullshit. And so my dad, this is how I got my dad. I said, this is communism. I said that because I was learning about it in school. And my dad goes, oh, hold on, you're right. We can't all be equal here. He goes, take the pieces that you think are the best. And they're like, what? And he goes, you stole it from him anyway. And I just looked right at him and I was like, Jolly Ranchers. I was taking everything. The sweet tarts. Oh, you like that too, don't you? I don't even like these. I'm going to take it anyway. I had it all. I took all the good pieces and I was like, you can have the candy corn and whatever that shit is that gets stuck in your. I don't want that. You can have that. I'm taking the taffy. I took all the good stuff. The Snickers. You can have the Milky Way that only has the nougat. Take that. Three Musketeers. You can have that. I don't want that shit. I want the Snickers. I took all the good stuff. That was it. And my dad was like, we go outside and we're playing catch and they're staring at me through the window. And my dad's like, just ignore them. I'm proud of you. We're not communists.
Why do they still make candy corn? Does anyone actually like candy corn?
Oh, God, it's horrible. And they always have it.
It's like sugared wax. It's not good.
I took Anthony trick-or-treating with my sister when he got older, and I was telling him stories of Halloween's past, And somebody came in, and he had the candy corn, and he was all like, Anthony was like, well, he gave me candy corn. I took it, I threw it in their yard. Get out of here. I threw it back in their yard. And then we drove off. And my sister was like, don't do that. Those are my neighbors. Well, they'll learn. If every kid did that, it would stop. Who the hell goes to the HEB, the Walmart, wherever you go to get it, and buys candy corn and says, this will be good for some kids. Hey, kiddos would love this sticky shit. Nobody wants that sticky crap. You would. I knew it. There's always one. There's always one dick.
No. I mean, that's what they were thinking when they were kids. That's all they had.
Oh, okay. Candy. I thought you were saying that. Please don't say that. Because I'll have to make Jetsul mad again.
Like my dad and Black.
So they would get the candy corn. I think it's a holdover from the older generations. Maybe they liked it.
Yeah.
Same as Black.
I don't get it.
And you know what happened every year to me too? There was some jackball that I don't remember who it was exactly. Because you have the mask on, you're trying to look, you're like, what is this? You try to remember, take notes from next year. One of my friends, he was smart. One of my friends actually this is what he did. He actually just went with a notepad and wrote down the notes of who gave what.
Oh,
smart. Yeah. Red-haired kid, man. He knew, man. He was smart, dude. I was like, yes, Freckles. We called him Freckles. I said, Freckles got it. He's smart, bro.
So you don't waste your time next year.
Don't wait next year, no, dude. And then you get to the affluent neighborhoods. You know what I mean? You got to go to the affluent neighborhoods where it's all brick. You got to do that.
Yeah.
What's crazy though? Do what?
We had our town on lockdown. We know who gave out the full cans of pop. We know who gave out the full chocolate bars, and we'd always hit them up.
There's always a couple of those neighborhoods where you go and they give you the good stuff, right?
Yeah, and that's expensive to give out full chocolate bars to a bunch of kids. It's very expensive.
But dude, I'll tell you what was cool. At Christmas time, the Mexican neighborhood actually did that too. See, I don't know how they celebrate Christmas up there, but used to when I was a kid, if you went to the Mexican neighborhood, they would give you like candy, like that you could go and get it during Christmas time. Like they would, it was like the day before Christmas Eve. And we could go and get candy. I'm kidding you not. Scorpion can tell you there was a neighborhood like that where he was at. And they would give out candy. Salamon, I think was the name of the street that he was at. And so anyway, my street did that too. There was a neighborhood, Hispanic neighborhood, and you'd go at Christmas time and they would give you candy and cake and stuff. It was awesome. Now it's like people are like, oh, hey, Christmas. They're already advertising for Halloween. They started in July. Nobody's bitching. But I guarantee you, the minute Christmas decorations come out in October, they're like, "Oh, what Christmas time? Fucking go!" They get mad. And you know why they're getting mad? Because I have to spend some money on somebody. Fuck them. I don't want to. That's all it is selfish people. That's what it is. Don't be that person. No, don't be that person. But I'll tell you this. There was always somebody in my neighborhood, and I suspected it was one of the old people, and I was trying to be nice. But they would throw those hard candies with the swirls and stuff. You know what I'm talking about? They were just hard candies, like those Italian ones or whatever, and they had them in the tins. They were throwing those into our bags without any wrappers because, they just come in the tin without. And so somebody's grabbing that with their hands and throwing it into your bag.
Ew.
And every year I would get that and I'd be like, what is this shit, man? Why are they doing this? And my mom was like, ew, don't eat that. And she would take it out. And I'm like, don't worry, I'm not going to.
Yeah,
But
they're not good anyway.
It's not good anyway. But somebody did that shit. And so
there's always some psychopath that like hands out toothbrushes or something too, I'm gonna be the
I never got
one.
that. There were people that said that. I've heard rumors of that. I've never got that. Or
I remember
apples.
that
I
happening
got
once when I
candy
was little.
apples once or twice.
Yeah, that was a weird one. Like,
Mhm.
thanks. What do I do with
What
this?
do I do with this? I want
Carry this
candy.
around. Yeah.
My sister, my other sister, she would always, there was somebody in our block that would do it. She would always want to go there first so she could get the caramel apple and she would walk around eating it while she's getting candy. And I would tell her, if you're walking around eating that, they're not going to give us as much candy. She was so blasphemous, dude. I was like, dude, stop. You're messing it up. She would look at me and go, you are. Stop being the way you are. And that one are a year apart. So they're like this, and I was the odd one out. They were like, dude, you little punk. Everybody's all older than me. They're like 1 year. And then 5 years later, I come out, and they're like, what is this? We don't want this. My sister tried to put me in a box when I was a baby. And she taped it up so she wanted to mail me away. And they're like, oh, that's so cute. She's already 5. She's already infanticiding, dude. That's not cute. Mom thought that was cute. She's like, oh, it was cute. She wanted to mail you away Christmas time to the North Pole. That's a sacrifice to a man in a red suit so that he'll give you more peppermint. That's her.
Yeah,
And that's right there.
Anagram name for sleep.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
But anyways, they thought it was cute, and I was in there screaming and crying, and my dad goes in, what are you doing? Well, I'm getting rid of the baby. We don't want him. We've taken a vote. We want him gone. He's loud and obnoxious, and one day he'll rule all of us.
They thought it was cute.
What it was. And then my dad told him a few years ago, he's like, you sons of bitches, he's the youngest, and y'all all need him for everything. He was aggravated. He just told it like it was. It was like, everything has to go through. You need something, you go to him. He's your younger brother. He's the baby. And y'all are always, he's the baby. And I didn't get the benefits of being the baby because I had parents at each other's throats. I was a pawn. And they were not around a lot. It was just like, you're just there. So they were eager for the kids to all be out of the hair or whatever. So I come along and they're like, what is this? We got to deal with this kid. They didn't like each other. And when they would look at me, they would see the other person that looked a lot like my dad. My mom would be like, you look like your dad. You like your dad. So they would go back and forth. And I kind of look like my grandfather, who my dad hates, or he says he doesn't, but he did because he was mean to him. My grandfather was mean to him. So he would look at me and be like, you look like your grandpa. And my grandfather hated my mother. So she was a hard person to deal with. And my grandpa, he hated her. But my mom's mom, I think, hated her too. Hated her own daughter. Mom was a hard person to deal with. So I didn't score points. But you know who loved my mom? Everybody that worked for her. Everybody that worked for my mother loved. They were always like, your mom is so cool. And I'm like, how do you know her? I worked for her at the grocery store. I worked for her at Walmart. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a different person, dude. I don't know who the hell you know, but that's not my mom. My mom does not. I would say, I love you, Mom. She'd be like, yeah, right. And my friends would laugh. They thought it was funny.
That's horrible.
It was horrible. And I would say that. And my friends would be like, oh, yeah,
That's
wow. They
damaging.
thought it was funny. And,
Yeah.
but inside you're hurting, because your mom treats you that way. And it was all the time with you look like your dad. I got sick of that shit. I got sick of it. So she would punish me for everything about my dad. So you just, you grow up that way and you learn to just deal with it and you learn to be. But there were times when she was really nice. Typically when my sisters weren't around, she was nice to me. And she was good to me on my birthdays. But she stopped giving me parties or anything like that when I was like 7. There was no parties or anything like that. But she would take me to the store and let me get like G.I. Joes or, He-Man or something, whatever I was into that year. Not a bunch, but she would let me, But then that was where my dad's buttholeism came in because he hated action figures and he called them dolls. He said, "You're playing with dolls." I'm like, "These are not dolls, dude. These are sophisticated action figures, dude."
Yeah,
And my dad was like,
machine gun, Dad.
he'd pick them up and look at them and then throw them against the wall or punt them,
Jeez.
It was crazy. And he would tell me, "We need to do men's stuff." So we had to go out and had to shoot a deer. So I did that twice. And I never did it again. And all my cousins were like, "Well, you should have shot more deers. We go every year. We kill deers." There's no S on the end of it, dumbass. We killed them deers. And I'd be like, why? Why? You don't need to kill. One of my cousins, he's a hunter, right? He is literally, that's what he is. He's just a hunter. He kills everything. And then he sends me every Thanksgiving, Christmas. He's like, "Check out this video I got. I shot this buck up there. I was in Montana." Well, they don't have enough deer down here to kill. There's a ton of them. "Yeah, I went up there to try to kill Montana deer. I already killed Idaho deer, Utah deer, North Carolina deer, Philippines deer. I kill deer everywhere I go. Here a deer, there a deer. I kill. So he shows me the video, and it's horrible. I'm not squeamish or whatever. I'm just like, wow. And his son's over there, like, looking at me, and I'm like, I always insult him, though. I don't know why he does it, because he knows. I was like, dude, why do you do this? You're teaching your son how to shoot deer. Like, why don't you teach him how to read and write? Dude, can't write cursive. He kills everything. And they think this is great. And they think that you're a city guy or whatever. But what's funny is the city people think that I'm a country person. So you're kind of caught in the middle, like always. And you have this Hispanic native background, but then you have white background too. And both sides always want to make jokes. "Oh, did you eat tamales?" "Yeah, because that's what we do." And I kind of like cucaracha, and we just went in there and ate tamales. And then the Mexican sides are like, "What did you have? Did y'all eat the turkeys? You eat the white meat?" "Yeah, I went in and ate the turkeys. That's what I did. I ate the white meat." I said, "Hey, man, this white meat is good." Down, playing the banjo. And then they get mad when you give them the shit right back. And eventually they stop because you embarrass the shit out of them. You go back and they're like, "Yeah, what did you do for Easter? You go and you hang out with the white peoples. Did y'all Easter eggs hunt?" "No, we didn't. No, we didn't. But you know what we didn't do? We didn't all get drunk and stab each other." Oh, that's a novel idea, right? And then they're like, and I'm like, "Get us chingazos. I can give them to you if you want." "Hey, primo." And they're like, "No, I'm good." "Yeah, you're good. You're good. Shut up. Cállate la boca, pendejo. It's the well away." "Oh, wait, mine too. Sorry." Yeah, so you get used to it. And then the white people, they do the same thing. They're always like one or two of the drunk cousins. "Yeah, did you eat some tamales?" "Yes, I did. I got some in my truck right now. You want me to go get them for you, senor? They got the jalapenos. They burn your ass." You go in wearing a sombrero and tequila and your pistol out shooting. I did that one year. I showed up. It was 4th of July, and they're like, "Hey, you come over here to hang out with the white folks." I'm like, "Yeah." And I put my sombrero on. I had a poncho, and I had a bottle of tequila, and I was shooting my pistol in the air, and they're all like, "Oh shit, what the hell?" Sorry. Sometimes I don't use my sesos. "Oh, what is that?" "That means brains." "Thinking with my huevos." "That means balls." Because this is what they asked for, so you give it to them. And then they don't like it. They're like, I don't like him. I didn't like his attitude. He blistered us with his smart mouth. Then they become all British. Oh, what is wrong with this little Mexican? You know, so, they do. They become all pompous and shitty, and then they don't like you. I said, you don't like it when somebody talks shit, do you? How about I don't like that when you do it to me? And eventually they stop. And there were certain people that never did it, never did that. But then there were certain ones that always made it a point to be a little shitty racist and be a little shit, and they do it on both sides. So you grow up like that, you got to get thick skin. You got to be used to it, but you get enough of it. You're like, I'm tired of your shit. Yeah. What are you going to do? Shoot me with your deer rifle? I disassembled it. It's in the back of your truck. My cousin Lily told me he was going to shoot me, and I started shit with him, but I had already took his rifles apart and threw them all over the back of his truck. I'm like, oh, I'm smart. Thing is, you had to do that with your own parents. It's just sparring for preparing you for the future. And then you learn how people are, and you just have to deal with it. I think in our generation, though, in Generation X, we were really tough. Words didn't hurt us. And we would fight. You throw down. I'd tell people, hey, man, you want to do something? Let's do it. Well, you're twice my size. Then maybe you should shut up, bucko. That's the problem, is that they want to talk shit and get away with it and have this, pass or whatever. But then you can only take so many Christmases and Thanksgivings or whatever this shit talk, smart mouth, drunk, borracho, as they say in Spanish. You get tired of it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear your mouth. So it doesn't really happen anymore. I mean, by the time I was like 30, whatever, my late 20s, whatever, people were like, okay, don't mess with him. He's getting aggravated. So, and there's ways to get people too. Get them to stop. And you kind of feel like if this generation that's coming up, if they would learn to be more thick-skinned, stop falling for this woke bullshit, I didn't go and try to cancel people because they mess with me.
This generation is so sensitive. It's just mind-blowing.
Safe spaces. Where were our safe spaces? We didn't have a safe space. I'd be like, time out. Your jokes about my Hispanic heritage are starting to hurt. I gotta go. Nobody's gonna give you that, dude. Just go. Shut up, dude. You deal with it, and you deal with it, and you deal with it.
They can't even handle the cultural appropriation of a Halloween costume, without having a meltdown. It's like, this doesn't even affect your life. Just get a grip.
Yeah, exactly.
I was Mr. T one year for Halloween. I was Mr. T one year for Halloween.
Nice.
Oh no, you Justin Trudeau'd it.
I was 10 years old, and I had the mohawk and and Anthony's. He can tell you his aunt to help me with the face paint and everything. And everybody was like, "Oh, I love it." There was a black family down the street. They loved it. They were like, they gave me a bunch of candy. I mean, they were my
people had a sense of humor back then,
The black people thought it was cool because there was a white kid wanting to be a black person, because back then it was like a novelty. And then the Wiggers all came, and then it was like, oh, now everybody's trying to do it. And they're like, yeah, man, they're walking around, pants hanging off their butt. And you're like, what is this, dude? Oh, yo, know what I'm saying? Oh, and they try to do the slack jawed look so they can, and it's like,
so
dude,
annoying.
I thought about doing a skit about that too. I don't know how it'll go over on Facebook, but I was thinking just doing today in the life of a Wigger, and just go up to these Wiggers that I see regularly, just go up to them and be like, excuse me, sir, excuse me, what is it like to be a Wigger? They're going to look at me and be like, oh, you're pretty catchy. You ain't going to do shit, dude. Just tell me, what is it like to be you? What is it like to play a role and never come out of it?
Yeah, it's like to learn.
You're literally playing a role. And it's so insulting to black people because this is how you think they are. And you're doing it honestly because you're scared. You're scared of them. But I noticed though, is a lot of these guys, they never played ball with them. They didn't box with them or wrestle with them or whatever. And so you realize they're just people like you, man. They're just people. They bleed and they pay taxes and do whatever. They do the same thing you do. They're just black. But they're over here like, oh, I got to try to blend in. Let me act, like I'm freaking half retarded. That's a problem. Yeah, it's where I talk. I was raised up around. So was I, but I don't do that. I don't go around going like, yo, man, like, what is that shit? That's the most condescending, patronizing thing you can do. Just like I don't, When I see a Mexican, I don't immediately break down, and start dancing around. Da, 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 I get the accordion out. Hey, come on, guys.
It'd be a lot better if you did.
You can speak Spanglish. I mean, you speak the language, you do, but you don't. Well, who does that? And then you get around white people like, that's when I told Julio, you can go to hell. That's the cornbread. Thank you. Who does that? That's the fakest shit ever. I'm just who I am all the time. They're like, oh, Wolf's a fake. These people that say that from the show that didn't like me because they're not in my everyday life. There's nobody saying that about my everyday life. They're like, that's who he is. Same person you see here is who you see on PRT is the same person that lives my life. I'm not going to ever come on the show and just be like this. You know what I'm saying, Anna? You know what I'm saying, Richard, man? Like, man, I'll finna loke up on that fool. Like, who in the hell? I see people my age still doing this shit. Still doing this shit.
Same here.
You're going like, what in the fuck? Where did you come from? Why are you still doing it? I thought it was like a high school thing. You're still that way. There's a guy named Dale. I don't want to say his last name, but his name is Dale, and he still does it. Can't stand the guy. I worked with him like a few years ago, and I was like, you're still wigging.
Yeah.
What the hell is wrong with you, dude? Like, don't you people, he's already been beat up 50 times by doing it because people don't want to see their culture, emulated like that.
Well,
and when we were kids, he didn't act like that.
It's just irritating whenever somebody, I don't know why it's fundamentally irritating to most human beings to watch somebody try to be something that they're not, but it just irritates the crap out of you. And
it's cringy.
Yeah, it's just, well, people are attracted to authenticity. They gravitate to authenticity and people that can just be comfortable in their own skin and just be who they are. And somebody who can't do that, who's always putting on a front, there's just something fundamentally icky about it, Don't want to be around people like that.
My grandchildren hollering, brah, and I'm still slinging, dude. Well, Jill, that's what you're supposed to do. You're just like, hey, dude,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I was talking to some people at the gym the other day. Well, the guy got mad. He wasn't a wig. He was just a meathead. And he was like, oh, I'm tough by way of roids. And no, you're not. And he grabbed, I was literally holding onto it. I reached over and I was grabbing onto the grip. That's the triangle grip for your triceps. I went to grab it. And he grabbed this and he pulled it. That's a couple years ago, and I'm at the purple gym. This is, oh, you know what? Yeah. This was probably during the face diaper time. I think it was. It was like 2021, something like that.
With the drop alarm on the floor.
Yeah, the lunk alarm. They got rid of it here because of people were like, no, we're not doing that. But I looked at him. I said, hey, kid, dude, what's up, dude? He said, what do you mean, what's up? So then this girl runs up and she starts videoing me immediately. She's like, and I'm like, what? Who is this? She's like, you touch him and see what happens. I'm videoing you. Like immediately. And I said, dude, what is your problem, man? And she's like, oh, or you're old. You're so old. And then some other girl comes running up and she starts parroting the other girls. Dude, who says dude? You're old. Like you're like, why are you trying to fight him? We're just kids. I'm like, how old are you? He's like, I'm 26. I'm like, you're not a kid. Well, you called me one. I said, because you acted like one, but you're not a kid. You shouldn't act like that. Okay, old dude. Okay, old dude. And they all walked away laughing and calling me an old dude. And I'm like, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
So I just went back to working out. And then as I was getting ready to leave, he's over there like walking around with his hat. He had his little hat on. He was like way far down like this. Like he was like a caged tiger. He was ready to look up on me and just put an ass whooping on me. And I was just like walking out and I'm like, whatever. And so I told him, I said, hey man, I said, you got a lot of pent up anger. I said, I coach boxing over here. Why don't you go over there and show up? I gave him the names of the coaches and everything, and I told him, I said, you can go over there and train. And then I said, look, I got a video, and I showed him the video of me hitting the speed bag. And I think that it kind of made him go, oh shit. And I said, yeah, just in case you want to beat somebody up, you can go there. And he's like, oh yeah. Oh, I'm good, bro. I'm like, okay, bro. Mm-hmm. And Anthony was laughing. We walked out.
Some people have Never been punched in the face.
No,
That's
and he's
it.
going to go in and get his lights punched out. But that's what you have to do. There's kids that think they're tough. They go in there and they go, yeah, I'm a good fighter. I'm like, are you? Maybe you can take a punch. Maybe you can throw one. But can you do both? And do you have footwork? And can you go 30 seconds without laying on the ground and die? Because you can't breathe. That's very important too. And I've been on the show and I've had like a busted eye and stuff, because some of these dudes get a little, they punch you. And, dude, some of them too, they know what they're doing too. The younger generation is cheap shotted. I never got that kind of shit from the Generation X. You went down, they didn't try to just kick you in the head immediately. There was about, I'd say if you put a percentage on it, 30% of them. Now it's 90% of them. They're trying to go to jail. Somebody goes on the ground and they're actually fighting. They think that you're trying to kill your opponent because they don't know that it's just a fight and you can live the next day. So they jump up and down on people's heads and they kick their heads. You see the videos all the time.
Yeah, or men doing it to women.
That too. And I've told people, I said, do not fall down. And now jiu-jitsu is telling everybody to lay on their back. Dude, if you do that in the street, you're going to get the hell, but you're going to die.
Yeah.
They're going to kick you in the freaking head. Because as soon as they get up, they're going to kick you in the head. Some of these guys from the gym, like in the jiu-jitsu, they don't realize, like, this is not how we fight out there. It is not. You're going to get kicked in your freaking head. You're going to flatten out. But these people, they first of all, he's acting tough, but then he's got two girls there with him, and one of them looked like his sister. They don't look like his girlfriend, but they're videoing you immediately. Look, old man, we have you on video. You're going to TikTok. Or what, TikTok, whatever the hell it was. I didn't even know what it was at that time. I was like, what is that? She's like, I got you on TikTok. Whatever. I know what it was. I know what it is now. And I was like, what is that? I knew it was like some kind of platform, whatever, but this is 4 years ago. I wasn't on it. And I told her, I said, oh, okay. All I knew is like it was Chinese spyware or something, And I said, oh, okay, great. And then there was a guy who released a video of me cussing him out at the parking lot at the mall. He said, big ass country dude gets in my face. And he was some kind of prank guy. But they were talking shit to this kid whose parents owned the restaurant right there. And I knew his parents, and they were talking shit to this kid. But it was a prank, right? So I got over there and I said, dude, don't do that. This kid doesn't know what the hell he's like 14. You're picking on him to make a video. I know what you're doing. You're like, fuck you. And I said something back to him. And so then they've released the video. So I talked to my friend Eric Konevsky. Everybody knows him. He's a Russian gangster. He's got the prank channel. Now he chases after PDF files. And he got in touch with that guy and said, dude, that's stupid. Don't mess with that dude, blah, blah, blah. And then they took it down. But he had it on his channel. He had it up in me cussing him out and telling him he's a freaking piece of shit for messing with kids. He's picking on this kid and his little sister. Saying things that weren't correct to say. It's not funny. It's not. And it's inappropriate. But he said something. On there, the title was Big Ass Country Dude. I said, wow, that's what I am now to those people. These urban dudes, they call them urban teens. Like you're urban? Is that what you are?
Urban youth.
Youths.
Yeah.
Wayward youths. All right, guys. Anyways, we've gone over way too long. We'll see you guys on Saturday, but tomorrow night on PRT. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you to everybody who helped out and donated, which is 2 people, Beyond the Box and Mike. Thank you so much. We will be back.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Love you all. God bless.
Love you.
Yeah, we love you guys. And I love you guys, Anna and Richard. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, we love you too. See you tomorrow.
We'll play our rap song for you guys. So we're talking about these urban people. Because I'm a big country dude.
Big country dude playing a rap song.
All right, here it goes. All right, good night, guys.
These leaders so corrupt. I say it's time for a change. No more politicians playing their games. We the people need to rise. We need to wake up. They're drinking our blood from a golden cup. When is enough enough? It's time for unity. It's time to get tough. No more lifetime politicians. You get 4 years, then you find another mission. We the people need to rise, we need to wake up. They're drinking our blood from a golden cup. We work all day for bills that we gotta pay. It's still not enough, so we hope and pray. Now they're trying to make that even go away. We gotta stand firm, we gotta stand strong, but it's hard when we can't get along. We the people need to rise, we need to wake up. They're drinking our blood from their golden cups. We the people need to rise, we need to wake up. They're drinking our blood from their golden cup. We aren't all birds of a feather, but we better learn to stand strong together. You better wake up and choose a side. Who you rolling with, ride or die. We aren't all birds of a feather, but we better learn to stand strong together. You better wake up and choose a side. Who you rolling with, ride or die. We the people need to rise, we need to wake up. They're drinking our blood from a golden cup. We the people need to rise, we need to wake up. They're drinking our blood from a golden cup. So we the people need to rise.